Fishery Management Area Hawaii, and 13-75, rules regulating the possession and use of certain fishing gear. The primary purpose of this proposal is to update and consolidate aquarium fishery regulations by creating a new management framework that includes a new permit system for commercial aquarium take, new requirements for commercial aquarium dealers and commercial aquarium vessels, as well as other housekeeping measures for clarity and consistency. We understand that the aquarium fishery is a contentious topic that many feel very passionately about. However, we ask that everyone be respectful to one another and to DAR staff throughout this public hearing, and to please refrain from using profanity or otherwise offensive language or addressing other testifiers directly. Also, out of respect to the presenters and testifiers, and so that the microphones can clearly pick up tonight's proceedings, please silence your cell phones and take any side conversations outside. As required by law, the proposed rules have been drafted in Ramsar format, copies of which can be found on the draft rules and public notices section of the DAR website. Further instructions on how to view the draft rules can be found in the official public notice published in the Honolulu Star Advertiser and the West-Hawaiʻi Today. Additionally, those attending the meeting in person may ask DAR staff for a copy of the draft rules. This public hearing is being simultaneously live streamed to the DAR YouTube channel for anyone wishing to observe the public hearing but not provide testimony. For your convenience, the address to the DAR YouTube channel is at the bottom of this slide. The live stream will be recorded and preserved on YouTube as a matter of public record. Please be aware that by attending this public hearing today, you're consenting to being audio and video recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded but still wish to provide testimony, the slide above as well as the public hearing notice provide instructions on how to submit written testimony for consideration by the department. The purpose of this hearing is to provide the public the opportunity to provide comments in the form of oral testimony on the proposed rulemaking action. Approval to conduct this public hearing was obtained from the Board of Land and Natural Resources at their board meeting on October 24th, 2025. The legal notice of this public hearing was published in the February 28th, 2026 Saturday issue of the West-Hawaiʻi Today and the March 1st, 2026 Sunday issue of the Honolulu Star Advertiser. Additionally, notice of this public hearing was posted on the draft rules and public notices page of the DAR website, where digital copies of the draft rules in Ramsar format can be found, as well as posted on the announcements page of the DAR website. We will begin by watching a pre-recorded slideshow explaining the proposed changes to the administrative rules. We will then transition to the public testimony portion of the public hearing. Everyone wishing to provide testimony should have signed up with DAR staff at the front when you arrived. Those who have not signed up but would like to provide testimony can make your way to the table at the front at this time, and your name will be added to the list. It is important that everyone who wishes to testify provide their name and contact information so we have an accurate record of everyone providing testimony and are able to get in contact with you if we have any follow-up questions regarding the testimony you provide. Each person providing testimony will be given 3 minutes. As we have limited time at this venue, I will kindly ask you to conclude your testimony if you go beyond 3 minutes. Additionally, if you provided oral testimony at last night's virtual public hearing, your name will be moved to the end of the testifier list to ensure that those who have not had a chance to provide testimony are able to do so. If we have additional time, I will then call on those wishing to provide additional testimony. So let's begin with a short slideshow describing the administrative rulemaking proposal.
Aloha and welcome to the public hearings for the proposed rulemaking action on aquarium fishery management. We will begin this presentation by going over a brief timeline of relevant events related to aquarium fishery management here in Hawaii, beginning with the landmark Umberger v. Department of Lands and Natural Resources case. In October of 2012, the plaintiffs in the Umberger case filed their complaint in circuit court, alleging, among other things, that the state's issuance of aquarium fish permits without an environmental assessment or environmental impact statement violated the state's environmental review laws, commonly referred to as the Hawaii Environmental Policy Act, or HEPA. Subsequently, the court issued an injunction halting the issuance of any new permits pending the court's final ruling on the matter. On September 6, 2017, the Supreme Court of the State of Hawaii ruled that aquarium permits for the use of fine mesh nets for aquarium purposes are subject to HEPA and remanded the case back to circuit court to make findings in accordance with the Supreme Court's ruling. Then on October 27, 2017, the court declared all aquarium fish permits issued or renewed to commercial collectors illegal and void due to lack of HEPA compliance. Accordingly, to comply with the court's findings, on June 7, 2018, an organization representing a group of commercial aquarium collectors from the island of Hawaii, called the Pet Industry Joint Advisory Council, or PJAC, submitted to the department a final environmental assessment with a proposed finding of no significant impact. On July 26, 2018, the department issued a notice of determination that an environmental impact statement, or EIS, was required, and PJAC began preparation of a draft EIS. Upon review of PJAC's initial final EIS, the Board of Land and Natural Resources voted on June 23, 2020, to reject PJAC's final EIS. Subsequently, PJAC took the following year to prepare a revised draft EIS and revised final EIS, culminating on June 25, 2021, where the revised final EIS was deemed accepted after no additional action was taken following a 3-3 tied vote on a motion to accept the revised final EIS by the board. The validity of the acceptance as a matter of law was challenged in court, but eventually upheld in a ruling by the Circuit Court on August 16, 2022. Finally, on January 30, 2023, an injunction preventing the department from issuing aquarium permits in West Hawaiʻi was lifted, removing the last legal hurdle remaining in the string of court cases stemming from the original Umberger decision, preventing the department from issuing aquarium permits in West Hawaiʻi. In preparation to begin issuing aquarium permits in West Hawaiʻi, the Division of Aquatic Resources staff briefed the board on an analysis of DAR data from the West Hawaiʻi Regional Fishery Management Area, or WHRFMA, related to aquarium fish populations in April of 2024. Following DAR's briefing to the board, DAR prepared these rules, organizing and streamlining the way DAR manages the aquarium fishery. Subsequently, the rules have been approved by the board and the Small Business Regulatory Review Board for public hearings, leading us to provide today's virtual public hearing and tomorrow's in-person public hearing to be held at Kealakekea High School cafeteria in Kona. Next, I will provide a comprehensive overview of the proposed rulemaking action. The proposal includes amendments to Hawaii Administrative Rules Chapters 13-60.4 entitled West Hawaiʻi Regional Fishery Management Area, Hawaii, and 13-75 entitled Rules Regulating the Possession and Use of Certain Fishing Gear. Additionally, the proposal consolidates rules regulating the aquarium fishery into a new chapter, Hawaii Administrative Rules Chapter 13-77.1, entitled Aquarium Fishery Management. I will go over the proposed changes to each of the amended chapters and then review the proposed new chapter. The West Hawaiʻi Regional Fishery Management Area, commonly referred to as the WHRFMA, provides geographically specific restrictions and requirements for aquarium fishing within the WHRFMA. The current rulemaking proposal would repeal those provisions related to aquarium fishing within the WHRFMA and would move those provisions into the new Aquarium Fishery Management Chapter, Hawaii Administrative Rules Chapter 13-77.1, noting that all other fishing rules, including the fishing replenishment areas where fishing for aquarium purposes is prohibited, as well as all other marine managed areas within the WHRFMA, would remain in place. Hawaii Administrative Rules Chapter 13-75 deal with gear restrictions. The proposal amends this chapter by changing references in the nets generally section that currently reference fine mesh net permits used in aquarium collection issued pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statutes Section 188-31 to instead reference the new State of Hawaii Aquarium Fish Permit issued pursuant to the new chapter, Hawaii Administrative Rules Chapter 13-77.1. Additionally, the proposed rules would clean up the nets generally section by removing references to traps, moving those references to the traps section, and cleaning up the traps section for clarity. Last, the proposal includes other housekeeping amendments, such as adding definitions to and cleaning up the definitions section. The proposed new chapter on Aquarium Fishery Management, Hawaii Administrative Rules Chapter 13-77.1, is divided into two subchapters. The first subchapter includes the general rules for taking of marine life for aquarium purposes applicable statewide, including rules for non-commercial aquarium collection, terms and conditions for the State of Hawaii Aquarium Fish Permit for commercial aquarium collection, and rules for aquarium collection vessels and commercial aquarium dealers. The second subchapter includes place-specific terms and conditions for the West-Hawaiʻi geographical endorsement, a required component of a State of Hawaii Aquarium Fish Permit for commercial aquarium collection within the West-Hawaiʻi Regional Fishery Management Area. In addition to the terms and conditions taken from the West-Hawaiʻi Aquarium Fish Permit in the current WHRFMA rules, such as no taking for aquarium purposes at night, this subchapter also includes the whitelist of allowable species to be collected for commercial aquarium purposes, as well as establishes annual catch limits for each of those species, meaning the yearly total number of fish allowed to be harvested for commercial aquarium purposes within the WHRFMA by all permittees collectively. As I mentioned in the previous slide, the rules differentiate between non-commercial and commercial taking of marine life for aquarium purposes and regulate the two differently. Let's start by going over the proposed rules for non-commercial take. Up to 5 specimens per person per day may be taken when using legal gear to take legal species of legal size during an open season if applicable. However, using restricted gear or taking restricted species, restricted sizes, or during a closed season is only allowed for scientific, educational, management, or propagation purposes with a special activity permit issued pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statutes, Section 187A-6. The proposed rules require a State of Hawaii aquarium fish permit for taking of marine life for commercial aquarium purposes. This slide shows how the permitting framework will generally work. In order to be eligible for a State of Hawaii aquarium fish permit, an applicant must successfully demonstrate that they, 1, have not been convicted of a criminal resource violation within the last 5 years, 2, have complied with HEPA via a final environmental assessment with a finding of no significant impact, also known as a FEA FONSI, or via the acceptance of a final environmental impact statement, also known as a FEIS, and 3, possess a valid commercial marine license issued by the department. Once the division verifies that all the criteria are met, DAR would issue the applicant a State of Hawaii aquarium fish permit with a geographical endorsement for the specific geographical area contemplated in the FEA FONSI or accepted FEIS. Subsequently, all permittees with a geographical endorsement would be allowed to engage in commercial aquarium collection of the whitelist species within the specific boundaries of the geographical endorsement up to a specified annual catch limit. On later slides, I will explain in detail how this framework applies to commercial aquarium collection in West Hawaii. You may be wondering what we mean by HEPA compliance, as I was explaining HEPA compliance as a requirement in order to be eligible to apply for a State of Hawaii aquarium fish permit in the previous slide. In short, All applicants would need to show that they are a party to either a FEA with a FONSI or an accepted FEIS. If an EA or EIS names individual permittees in the document, the named individuals are eligible to apply for a permit. However, an EA or EIS may be completed by a group or organization without specifying individual permittees, as is the case with West Hawaiʻi. In that case, the organization would be the initial applicant, or the applicant on an initial request for a permit as opposed to a permit renewal, and the organization must designate individuals to receive a permit under their FEA, FONSI, or accepted FEIS. Designees then would be responsible to comply with all other permit requirements, including providing proof of no criminal resource violations within the last 5 years and possession of a valid commercial marine license. Once issued a permit, designees are responsible for all subsequent renewals and assume all responsibilities to comply with terms and conditions and for any violations. This slide illustrates how the permit application process would work. The initial submission window for applications will be the 30-day period following the effective date of the rules. The submission window will then change to October 1st through November 30th of each following year. DAR will review each application on a rolling basis and will, within a reasonable time, inform applicants if any additional information is needed. If after review, DAR concludes that all application requirements have been satisfactorily fulfilled, DAR will send the applicant a statement of preliminary approval, letting the applicant know that their application has fulfilled all the necessary requirements. Then, after closing of the submission window on November 30th, DAR will conduct a final review of all applications collectively to 1, make sure all applicant information is still valid, and 2, to do a final calculation of the annual catch limits if applicable. Last, DAR will send approved permits with finalized terms and conditions, annual catch limits, and blank reporting forms to all applicants by December 31st. All permits will be valid from January 1st to December 31st of each year, and the annual catch limits will be tallied during the same period or until a season is closed due to an annual catch limit being reached. Additionally, the fee for the State of Hawaii aquarium fish permit will be $100 per year, and permits and geographical endorsements will be non-transferable, meaning only the person named on the permit may use a permit. All State of Hawaii aquarium fish permittees will be allowed to use fine mesh aquarium nets and traps. However, as a means to ensure accountability and transparency, a new requirement will be implemented requiring permittees to transfer all catch to a registered commercial aquarium dealer before submitting their final report. Additionally, the container label requirements currently only required under the West Hawaiʻi aquarium fish permit would be expanded statewide as part of the general terms and conditions of State of Hawaii aquarium fish permits. For reporting, the proposed rules would require an at-sea report to be submitted before landing to aid in enforcement if and when staff meet permittees at the landing dock to inspect a permittee's catch, as well as a final aquarium collection trip report due no later than 1 day after landing with final catch numbers and information on commercial aquarium dealer the catch was transferred to. The West Hawaiʻi geographical endorsement adopts the WHRFMA provision prohibiting engaging in commercial aquarium activities at night, with the exception that permittees may possess restricted gear with prior notification to the Department or U.S. Coast Guard. The endorsement provides rules for how notice of a closure for a given species is provided. Permittees will be provided a warning notice when a species' annual catch limit is at 95%, and a notice of closure will be provided at least 3 days prior to the closure of a species' open season via an email notification, provided that hard copies will be provided upon request. If, within the 3-day window between notice of closure and date of closure, an annual catch limit is exceeded, the excess would be subtracted from the following year's annual catch limits and, depending on the circumstances, a permittee who exceeds the ACL may be found in violation of the terms and conditions of their permit and penalized accordingly. The proposed whitelist of species allowed to be caught for commercial aquarium purposes under the West Hawaiʻi geographical endorsement with their annual catch limits are listed here on this slide. 100,000 lauʻipala or yellow tang per year, 1,086 potter's angelfish per year, 800 ma'i'i'i or brown surgeonfish per year, 344 hinalea i'iwi per year, and 182 Thompson surgeonfish per year. The rules for commercial aquarium vessels are generally based on the requirements currently only applicable to aquarium vessels in the WHRFMA, but now would apply to all commercial aquarium vessels statewide. The rules would require registration with the department as a commercial aquarium vessel, require all registered commercial aquarium vessels to have identification markings, including the letters AQ on the vessel and a stiffened flag or pennant with the letter A on it while engaged in commercial aquarium fishing trips. Require all divers to have a dive flag in the water, which is a general safety requirement. Require vessels to notify the Division of Conservation and Resources Enforcement or the U.S. Coast Guard when their vessel becomes inoperable, and allow for non-permitted individuals to accompany on-board commercial aquarium fishing trips for vessel operations and as safety divers only. Non-permitted individuals would not be allowed to participate in any aquarium collection activities and would be required to possess a valid commercial marine license or be covered under a valid commercial marine vessel license. The new chapter would implement new requirements for commercial marine dealers that buy and sell marine life from State of Hawaii aquarium fish permittees for commercial aquarium purposes. The proposed rules would implement a new registration requirement for any commercial aquarium dealer, and registration would expire yearly with their dealer license. State of Hawaii aquarium fish permittees would be required to transfer all catch to a registered commercial aquarium dealer and include the dealer's information in their final aquarium collection trip report. The final aquarium collection trip report could then be verified with a weekly dealer report submitted as a term and condition of the commercial marine dealer license. If an annual catch limit is reached and the fishing season is closed for a given species, closed season possession and sales would be allowed provided that the dealer has proof of the purchase date. Last, in addition to the weekly reporting requirements under the commercial marine dealer license, registered commercial aquarium dealers would be required to submit an export report with detailed information on where they are exporting any aquarium fish transferred from a State of Hawaii aquarium fish permittee in their possession. In summary, this table shows the management tools utilized in the rules currently in place regulating the aquarium fishery compared to the management tools to be implemented in the proposed rules to highlight the significantly increased restrictions, requirements, accountability, and transparency the proposed rules will impose on the aquarium fishery. The current rules require a small mesh net permit to use fine mesh nets and traps for taking of marine life for aquarium purposes, but do not require a permit for use of other legal gear to take marine life for aquarium purposes, with the exception of West Hawaiʻi, which has its own permitting requirement in place via the WHRFMA. The current proposed rules would require a State of Hawaii aquarium fish permit for all commercial aquarium take, regardless of gear type. There are currently no restrictions preventing individuals with criminal resource violations from engaging in commercial aquarium collection. The proposed rules would bar any applicant that has been convicted of a criminal resource violation within the past 5 years from being eligible for a permit. Although the court ruled that HEPA compliance is required before DAR may issue permits for commercial aquarium collection, the current rules do not have HEPA compliance built into them and are thus non-conforming to the current case law. The proposed rules would make HEPA compliance a requirement as part of the State of Hawaii aquarium fish permit. The current rules do not have any aquarium-specific reporting requirements and instead rely on the reporting requirements of the commercial marine license, which is a monthly reporting requirement. The proposed rules impose a much more strict fishing trip reporting requirement and also an at-sea reporting requirement to aid in enforcement. The current rules do not impose any requirements on who a commercial aquarium collector may sell their catch to, leaving potential gaps and loopholes in data on where the fish are going once they are removed from the ocean. The current rules close that loophole by requiring all permittees to transfer or sell their catch to registered commercial aquarium dealers, who then would be required to document who they sell to, including exports, establishing a documented chain of custody to help us track where each fish is going. The current rules do not require dealers to register as a commercial aquarium dealer, leaving open potential data gaps and loopholes. The proposed rules would close this gap by implementing a registration requirement. In West Hawaiʻi, there is a West Hawaiʻi aquarium permit that would be reflected in the West Hawaiʻi geographical endorsement. The current whitelist of allowed species in the rules for the West Hawaiʻi aquarium permit includes 40 species. This proposal reduces that whitelist down to 5 key species. The current rules for the West Hawaiʻi aquarium fish permit does not include annual catch limits for the 40 whitelist species, a huge loophole that this proposal aims to close by implementing annual catch limits for the 5 whitelist species based on the best available data for West Hawaiʻi to ensure harvest is sustainable. Mahalo for listening to this review of the proposed rules, and we look forward to hearing your mana'o in the testimony portion of this public hearing.
We have now reached the public portion of this hearing. The address to the DAR YouTube channel is at the bottom of this slide, and a link to the live stream has also been pasted in the chat, but we don't have a chat. If you just want to listen in to this hearing without providing testimony, you're welcome to stay and listen here in person, or you may feel free to leave and view the YouTube live stream from the comfort of your own home. So we're gonna be calling groups of 5 to come up and testify at a time. And we have a table up front for people to wait. And then we'll call in order of sign up. However, there are a few kupuna who may have to leave early, so we're going to move them up to the front of the list. When providing your testimony, please come up to this front table, and we're gonna have a laptop set up so that you can also be recorded on the Zoom. So please speak into the mic, as well as the laptop will face the laptop and it'll capture you. Please state your full name before giving your testimony and speak clearly so we can accurately record your testimony for the record. Please keep your testimony brief and on the subject to allow everyone the opportunity to testify. As I mentioned earlier, each person providing testimony will be given 3 minutes. As we have a limited time at this venue, I will kindly ask you to conclude your testimony if you go beyond 3 minutes. Additionally, if you provided oral testimony at last night's virtual public hearing, your name will be moved to the end of the testifier list to ensure that those who have not had a chance to provide testimony are able to do so. If we have additional time, I will then call on those wishing to provide additional testimony. And please remember to respect the opinions of all testifiers and that this hearing is not an opportunity for accusations or rebuttals. There may be differing opinions. We will do our best to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to voice their opinion for the department to consider. And all testimony should be directed to me and not to the audience.
The first 5 testifiers will be Debbie Heck, Damian Kennison, Don Raplogle, Roxanne Lundstrom, and Setsuko Morinoe. And just a quick note, we'll have a timer up on the screen with your 3 minutes. So you should take a look at that, and it also should make like a dinging sound once you're up. And we may ask you to wrap up your testimony once you get to the 3 minutes. So if we do that, please, take a few moments to wrap up and then allow the next person to give their response. Thank you.
Yes, turn that video. The video. What is it?
Right, unpin. Unpin your toe.
Or in that.
With the
Okay, good evening. Mahalo for the chance to testify. My name is Debbie Hecht. Please ban aquarium fishing. It is an intelligent step to save our reefs. I believe that banning aquarium fish taking is a public trust issue. We, the people, trust you, the government, to protect our environment, to keep us healthy. The fish are an integral part of our ocean ecosystem. The reef and its ecosystem are part of our natural resources. Why should a privileged few profit off our natural resources that you, the government, should be protecting for all of us? We depend on you to protect our environment, which includes the health of our ocean ecosystem, which includes these fish, corals, and all marine life. By allowing the taking of fish from the reef, you upset the balance of the ecosystem. The reef has been severely impacted by the tsunami of 2011 and the bleaching events. It is slowly coming back in some areas. I personally think there should be more marine protected areas and that all nearshore waters should be protected. Fishermen can fish off the reef in the deeper water, catch larger fish if the reefs are protected. Who is to guarantee that these privileged few who rape the reefs by taking our fish will obey their bag limits? There is a lack of enforcement. In the 22 years I have been swimming at Kukio Bay, Two-Step, Anaihumalo Bay, Mahukona, and Ka'alu'u, I have never seen a DLNR guy checking boats, catching pails, or bags. At a meeting I attended presented by the Tri-Weight group working at Kukio, the two DLNR guys said they rely on us to alert them to violations and that they were the only two cops that were really on the west side. I'm not going to approach somebody toting a spear gun and ask to inspect their bag and take photos as proof. 2 weeks ago, I saw a dead lobster with a hole from a spear gun left to die near the haul out beach at Kukio. Leave the fish on the reef, leave the ecosystem alone to recover. Do not upset the balance of the reef. Please, this is a public trust issue. We, the people, expect you, the government, to protect our natural resources, not to allow a few businesses to benefit off our natural resources. Mahalo.
My name is Roxanne Michelle Uthala Lundstrom. I'm a country girl. I grew up locally. My mom directed Timberline Camp, and my dad had a Bojack swim and scuba business. We were taken out on beach trips. When I was a little girl, we came to Kona from Oahu, and there was the Gold Coast. Thanks to the aquarium trade in the 90s, that all ended. My dad taught me that the tang cleaned the algae off the coral reef, And when they're POW, those reefs will die because they'll suffocate. Did you know 1 in 9 fish survive transport? And I have reference sightings for this. Most tropical fish die after 1 year. The life expectancy of a tang in the wild is 40 years. So that's roughly 10% that survive. Out of 1,200, that's 120 fish. They were good starter fish because they were cheap. You know, for the aquarium business, if you want to stay in business, stop poaching, wool bending, cockroaching our natural resources. Reducing the wild breeding population is not sustainable. The only sustainable solution would be captive breeding. While I understand DAR's job, you know, it feels like a balancing act between the public, environmentalists, and the aquarium trade. Instead, I recommend putting the environment first. These are the ones that survive. These are the ones that die. Thank you.
Yeah, hello, no, my name is David Kennison from Pocono Beach, South Corner. There's 2 things we don't like when you come down there. No chase a dolphin and not take too much fish. You know, South Corner people, they love the pakakui. Nobody else likes it, but South Corner people treasure that fish. Every party, wedding, funeral, you can see the pakakui at the table. But for the past 2 years, no more, yeah? How come? How come no more pakakui? I asked Star that. Why no more? And they said they don't know. So the science failed us here. Science failed us, cannot tell us why. So we're going to use our common sense. When you take millions of reef fish from the reef, there's a negative impact on the resource. When you take a population of fish from the habitat, other fish move in and take over. It's like what you did to the Hawaiians. You took them off the beaches and you brought all these illegal aliens to replace them. Same thing. One pakukui cost $500 to $800. So it's not on the take list. But if you see on $500 bill floating around on the ocean, don't tell me you don't like grab them. You're taking away the fish that we love. Yeah, you took away. Common sense tell you it's because of the AQ collectors. Because science cannot tell you. So we're going to tell you from our perspective. AQ collecting, we've been fighting them for a long time, 30, 35 years, still fighting them. We shouldn't be fighting them. Our government should be protecting us, protecting our right to fish for food. But they're going to issue permits again for why West Hawaii? How come? The place where the reefs are so narrow that it's hard to replace the fish that you take from there. And you're going to allow them to take how much, Kole? 30,000? per year? 30,000. That's too much. Thank you. I'd like to first say thank you to the DAR team that put all this together. That was a lot of hard work. But my take on this, and it's been mentioned, is the public trust. And the public trust will probably be brought up a lot. So I'd like to say that the public trust is part of our state constitution, because at the time of the overthrow, when the new constitution was written, they took from the constitution of the monarchy the beginning of that constitution. And the Uamau Okaina Ikapono is the ali'i's responsibility to all the people under them, to be sure that they always are going to be okay, the people. And that, I'm assuming, accidentally got put into the new constitution, but it's there. And our reefs, the fish that live on the reefs, are all part of the public trust. They belong to Hawaii. We are but visitors on Hawaii or throughout the whole state. And for us to egotistically take those natural resources and hand them out to a handful of people, we're going to pay $100 a year or $600 to sell one $500 fish. The math just doesn't come out. It's completely unjust. And these fish, the fresh water that percolates from our forests down into the reefs, is also part of that natural resource that creates this incredible, one-of-a-kind Hawaiian reef. The state also is speaking of, is always speaking of promoting tourism. Well, if we maintain our reefs, the reef collectors could possibly, with guidance from DAR, take people out onto the reef to see the fish, but leave them there and go home, and they have those memories forever. And I think my time is up.
Well, since it's coming up, can we get the next Hiroki Morinoi, Maki Morinoi, George Patterson, Glendora Kennison, and Willie Kobuko.
Oh, okay. Hi, my name is Setsuko Morinoue from Holualoa. And thank you very much for this opportunity for me to speak out this particular issue. I oppose the aquarium trade rules and shouldn't be, anyway, started from the beginning. No, shouldn't be anything on the table to discuss about our natural resources. Should be hand off from that particular, our beautiful natural resource to make a business, take away from the place naturally inhabited there, and to very few people of interest and handful of people's of business, and it doesn't match up with numbers like everybody else know about it. So don't reopen the aquarium trade. This action is against our natural cycle of life. To cut off any part of this chain of the cycle, we are asking for failure for our Aina and our future generations. Our coastal is beautiful and known for tropical fishes, and the people enjoy diving and taking photos, and those beautiful memories you can take home. And if you can stay still good, healthy, nature to be enjoyed many, many more people and many, many more years to come, rather than maybe kill the chain of our natural resource, the life, and we don't have any future to talk about it. And we should be very responsible what we need to do today for tomorrow. So I ask every one of you to be part of, listen to us carefully for people and who loves Hawaii, then leave hands off from the shore. Beautiful coastal corner, not only the corner, but the state of Hawaii should be off limit. Thank you very much.
My dad's not. Okay, aloha. My name is Maki Morinoi from Holualoa, West Hawaiʻi, testifying on behalf of HuliPAC. We strongly oppose DAR's proposed rules to reopen commercial aquarium collection and urge DAR to follow existing law rather than betraying the communities it claims to serve by severing the long-standing trust that DAR built with our ocean stewards. Our reefs are under assault from runoff, sedimentation, and climate-driven bleaching. Now more than ever, we need fish on our reef, not in aquariums. These fish are our reef's immune system, grazing the algae that would otherwise smother struggling corals. DAR's own DLNR hierarchy of use policy from 1988 places sustenance and traditional cultural practices above commercial extraction. Reopening aquarium collection inverts its priority and violates the state's fiduciary duty to Native Hawaiians. In January 2026, Hawaii Island County Council unanimously passed resolution number 422-25. In March 2026, Maui County Council unanimously passed resolution number 26-53. Both resolutions sent a clear and unified message to the state legislature to prohibit the harvest of aquatic life from state marine waters for ornamental commercial aquarium purposes. Thousands of testimonies across the islands have demanded a statewide ban. Yet DAR caters to 7 permit holders instead of the thousands who have repeatedly testified against this industry. This has nothing to do with science and everything to do with ignoring the will of the people. Commercial aquarium collection serves no food security purposes, only visual entertainment for distant hobbyists. Commercial aquarium collection violates Article 12, Section 7 of the Hawaii State Constitution, which protects the Native Hawaiian traditional and customary rights to subsistence, cultural, and religious practices. This industry has never undergone proper kapa'akai analysis. We urge DAR to respect the will of the people, honor Hawaii Island and Maui's clear position following constitutional obligations, and refuse to authorize commercial aquarium collection. It goes against our Native culture, values, and the health of our reef.
Laura, Sen, and will you help Pico as well?
Aloha. My name is George Patterson, and I'm from North Kohala. It's a great place, and let me tell you what, we have some wonderful aquarium fish there that want to stay in the ocean. So let's talk about fish and how they support coral reefs. First of all, I oppose the proposed DAR rules. They're a betrayal of your trust, of our trust of you. I oppose the aquarium trade. I oppose the aquarium trade rules. Reef fish belong on the reef, not in aquariums where they die rapidly. Fish in the wild go for 20, 30 years. Reef fish protect the coral reefs. Climate change and the Kona lows we've just had are putting great stress on our reefs. Hawaii reefs are not only important for our islands, but are a positive economic driver, our visitors. Our economy, I hate to say it, is dependent on our reef fish. It is dependent on our visitors spending annually, put your seatbelt on, $20 billion a year, 211,000 jobs, $2.4 billion in state tax revenue, roughly 10 million visitors daily. Impact of over 230,000 visitors are in Hawaii, spending on an average day of over $250 per person toward our economy. So at Mahukona, I asked visitors, why did you choose Hawaii for your vacation? And the answer most commonly was the reef fish. The fish need the reef to thrive. The coral reef needs the fish to thrive. The fish must stay on Hawaii's reef for Hawaii to thrive. If you allow aquarium collection, you destroy the visitor economy. You destroy our economy. It is a complete and absolute betrayal. Thank you.
Haimi Kopiko, Le Kaupo, Oku, Kalaioa, Kohia, Deli Korhu, and Sale Aloha Korhu.
Aloha, everybody. Mahalo to be here. I was waiting for this day. It's very beautiful that everybody's here at Manao. I just want to kind of give you the past history of this industry in the village. Wow, before I had a lot of fish, and I think now the climate is really changing a lot. I like to see the future for our generations to come. That's so important. This industry, they're trying to make money. It's not right. It's not what our kapunas. The ocean is our icebox. So we got to treat them like our guardian. So I just want to let you know that do not allow this. Let us Kuleana people have our ways of living off the ocean. Our ocean is our icebox and garden. It was always taught by our kupunas. So I like to make you start to understand that you're going to be responsible for this industry. Please think about it seriously. What's going to happen? Think about the beauty of Hawaii. It's like flowers. You don't take it away. God put this thing in the ocean for us. So we need to malama. Thank you very much.
Haimi Kopiko. And then if you're next up on the list, go.
They can't hear you back. Oh, because that's what the power is. But
one time.
My name is Kalimiko Pico. I'm a practitioner and a kumu, and I brought some of the keiki that they'll all share right after me and my other kumu shares our testimony. Okay, Ikino. I am submitting testimony on behalf of my ohana and community, and we're in strong opposition to the proposed rules that would establish a new. A bit further. Good, right there. Okay, perfect. Statewide aquarium fish permit for the West-Hawaiʻi geographical endorsement with a species whitelist and annual catch limits, expand vessel regulations and making requirements statewide, and establishing a commercial aquarium dealer registration. We oppose the proposed because at its core, it is a framework to resume and normalize the commercial extraction of live reef animals for captivity and sale. The proposed rules do not merely clean up regulation, they create a new permitting structure for taking marine life for aquarium purposes, define annual catch limits in terms of the numbers of species collected, authorizing dealer registration for the sale and transfer of these specimens, and allow designees to collect under the organization's environmental review. For us here in Miloli and other coastal native communities, the issue is not abstract. Our relationship to the kai is ancestral, cultural, and lived. Reef fish are not ornaments. They are part of a living system that supports subsistence, ike passed down through generations, and our kuleana of care for the nearshore environment. DAR's own hearing notice asked for testimony on Native Hawaiian traditional and customary rights and practices affected by this proposal. And from our perspective, these impacts are real. Any rule package designated to reopen commercial aquarium collection risks further undermining of Native Hawaiian relationship to reef, abundance, place-based stewardship, and the continued practice of lawai'a and community care for the nearshore. Of course, we have a very expansive legal history. As you know, in 2017, we had the Hawaii Supreme Court hearing, which held that commercial aquarium collection is subject to environmental review under HIPAA and is not exempt from a permit for extraction of an unlimited number of aquatic life. This is exactly why this moment is so important. The fact that the process may legally proceed does not mean that the state should approve rules that reopen our facilities, this fishery. The public policy question remains, should Hawaii authorize the commercial taking? And we believe the answer is no. These proposed rules move in the wrong direction. They would institutionalize a fishery whose entire purpose is to remove living reef animals from Hawaii. A species of, yep. So basically, in closing, our goal is to Malama'aina and Malamakai, and it's basically we don't want any more collection of aquarium and really, I mean, in this West Hawaiʻi. Okay.
All right. Ilini mai kapo o bawa labeling kalaka mehele anmali a kainoi Grace ka upu. O ka palilua ka ina hanao he moku. Kilikila mana lua po hiwi nani o Hawaiʻi kai mauki o kiku kai. O ke hau kamakani I puli ki ai ko kako a ina hanao. Aloha everyone, I am labeling ka upu. And I am a descendant of Kapalilua. Mahalo for granting me this opportunity to testify in strong opposition to the aquarium fish trade rule. Before anyone asks, I am a fisherwoman. If you know the traditions of Minoli'i, our kupuna wahine were true lawai'a. They carried and passed on the ike of hana'i na'i'a. That ike was passed on to the rest of my siblings and me. I grew up diving for reef fish, okalu fishing, harvesting opihi, and ha'ukioke, just to name a few. And I have seen firsthand the effects of aquarium fish collection because both my father and my late brother worked as aquarium collectors during my grade school years. I have witnessed a decline in certain well-prized aquarium fish, for example, the pakuikui, from our waters, and that is a fact. Our reef fish are not commodities. They are part of our kuleana, our food system, and our ancestral relations with the kai. For generations, our families have depended on these resources, not just for survival, but for identity, practice, and ike passed down to our puna. There is no clear long-term ecosystem-based evidence that aquarium fishing is truly sustainable. While some point to limited studies on specific species, those do not account for the full health of our reefs, nor the cumulative impacts of removing key herbivores that keep our core ecosystem in balance. Furthermore, the so-called sustainability of this fishery does not account for the loss of life along the way, from capture to transport. Many fish do not survive that journey, and this is not pono. In Hawaii, we do not view fish as decorations. We view them as plina, as family, as providers, as part of a living system we are responsible for. I offer this olelo no iau, peali ka aina he kawa ke kanaka. The land and sea is chief and we are its servants. This reminds us that we do not have the right to exploit our natural resources for profit at the expense of their health. Our rule is to serve and protect, not to take unnecessarily. To remove fish from our reefs for display for money or our ecosystem struggle is not aligned with this value. It is not aligned with aloha aina and it is not aligned with pono. Our reefs are already telling us what they need: rest, protection, and balance. So I ask that you reject these proposed rules, protect our reef ecosystems, and honor the ike of our communities and our kupuna. Choose long-term health over short-term gain, because once these systems are gone, we cannot bring them back. Mahalo nui.
Just hands. I was on the conference. Hello, my name is Wesley Basinga.
Aloha, my name is Zelia Loyokohia. Aloha, my name is Sally Loyokohia.
Aloha, my name is Mono Lana.
Aloha, my name is David Junior Cho.
Aloha, my name is Rio Sullivan.
Aloha, my name is Kalailo Loiokoi.
Aloha, my name is Kai Apocho. We live in Middle Lee and we go to Kuokala schools. We are here to say no to aquarium collection. My family only takes enough for eat. We respect our ocean resources. All AQ.
Keith Bess, Ha'a Kahele, Francis Ruddle, Susie Ruddle, Kavika Ruddle.
Stephen Bass, Kamaina from Manoa Valley, and a resident of Hawaii Island since 1972. Although I fondly remember times of visiting Hawaii Island with families of Hawaii before 1972. I'm here to oppose HB 2101 and DAR proposed rules and urge the state of Hawaii to ban all commercial aquarium operations on Hawaii Island. I'm deeply thankful for having been shaped by Hawaiian culture and philosophy, as well as ocean enjoyment over a life of 83 years. The testimonies that have been previously provided to the legislature from the scientific community are, in and of themselves, overwhelming reasons for banning commercial aquarium fishing in Hawaii. The testimonies previously submitted to the legislature by numerous groups and individuals from the Native Hawaiian community provide more than compelling reasons for banning the commercial extraction and alienation of native fishes from our ocean for aquarium sale. Where do we start a discussion and weighing of interests about uses of our ocean? How do we even begin to discuss what has been submitted as a cost-benefit analysis for the management of aquarium takings without asking ourselves how we value the ocean independent of its use by man? Do we take the time to view it through the lenses provided by the Kumulipo? Do we stop to consider that we are spiritually and physically connected to the ocean, and that we have kuleana to malama the ocean, just as we have the same duties with respect to our aina? When do we bridle ourselves and reverse our thinking that this earth and its oceans are to be used for the commercial benefit of man alone? Have the supporters of this bill been asked these questions? Who has the burden of proof to show that any use of the ocean is not destructive, or that a proposed use has any potential of harming and disrespecting the ocean? The supporters of this bill have the burden of proof to do so. The fact that so many questions have been raised as to possible negative impacts of the bill and the inability to effectively manage commercial extractions through the proposed regulations show that the supporters of this bill have failed to meet their burden of proof, so that the bill and any proposed regulations to implement the bill should have no effect. All commercial fishing for aquariums should be banned, period. Mahalo.
Aloha, members of the Division of Aquatic Resources. My name is Taha Kahele. I am a lineal descendant of one of the last fishing villages on Hawaii Island, Mokuʻokeawe. I come from generations of lawaiʻa and commercial fishers who have treated this as a stewarded resource and not an exploited product. As a cultural practitioner and a Native Hawaiian conservationist who has not just practiced malama aina, but lives it, I have seen how devastating the aquarium trade has been to our marine ecosystem, and I stand in strong opposition of these rules. While others call it a livelihood and business, we see it as a giant contributor to the decline of our way of life. For many generations of Kanaka, we have relied on our reefs to sustain our families. It is at our highest pertinence that we malama our oceans. Herbivore fish like lauipala, kole, pakuikui play a massive role in maintaining our reef's overall health by helping to maintain corals. It is these fish that have kept our families healthy, and it is those healthy reefs that have raised our families for generations. To accuse the aquarium trade of being a cultural practice or even a sustainable fishery is blasphemous to both the department's mission statement and our kumulipo. With the state of our reef in decline, what sense does it make to even discuss bringing back a fishery that has done more harm than good? It is unethical and the most rhetorical action most of us have seen the department make. In 2022, the Division of Aquatic Resources reduced its survey program from multiple rounds per year to just one, creating a limitation on recent data, preventing it from reliably detecting changes in fish stock abundance. Along with the gaps in data, how would DAR enforce this rules package? With doe care officers limited and officers already assuming duties from multiple districts. So I ask again, how is DAR going to enforce this? Our fish are not pets, our reefs are not zoos, our reefs raise families. I would like to leave you all with this olelo noia. He ali'i ka aina, he kaua ke kanaka. The land is a chief and man is its servant. Mahalo for allowing me to present this testimony.
Ruddle, Kavika Ruddle,
You're not transmitting.
Melissa Wait Crawford,
David, Susie's not testifying.
Aloha. My name is Francis Ruddle. I was born and raised on the island of Hawaii. I have worked and played in these waters surrounding the island for all of my 88 years. My grandparents' home at Paniao has been a part of many stories and songs. The most famous one written by Helen DeShane Beaver. The lyrics came to her while she would sit on the porch looking out into the ocean. The fish playing in the waves were plentiful and colorful. I was fortunate to sit alongside Auntie Helen and experience the abundance of fish. So many varieties and so much life, from lobsters to 7-Eleven crabs, aoma crabs, opihi, all existing in the sea and among the tidal pools. Sadly, today, these sites are rare, if at all. The ocean surrounding our island is very special to us. Tourism successful because the life undersea. We must respect our waters and our sea life. And I, Francis Ruddle, strongly oppose collection of our reef fish. Now and always, malama the reef fish.
Aloha, my name is Kavika Ruddle, and I stand on my written testimony that I submitted in strong opposition of the AQ trade and rules. And I just, it's kind of funny because these were handed out, but I just wanted to reiterate to DAR their mission statement. And I'll give my time to other people, but it's a pretty simple mission statement that you guys have, it seems like, yet you guys don't want to sort of live by, which is to protect and restore the aquatic environment, protect threatened and endangered aquatic species and their habitat, conserve and restore endemic and indigenous aquatic species and in their habitat, combat the introduction of invasive species and reduce their impact on ecosystems, effectively manage fisheries, and carry out education and outreach to the public. I strongly oppose the AQ trade and rules. Thank you.
He says, oh, hello there. Aloha, everybody. First and foremost, be glory to the Lord God, Lord Jesus Christ, Lord Holy Spirit, from all whom blessings flow. Thank you, Father, for allowing us to be here in this moment. It's good to see you guys, brothers Chris, David, and Brian. Thank you again for allowing us to testify. Right now, I just want to say, my name is Melissa Ann Mahelani Wake Crawford, and I am a lineal descendant of Milili'i Fishing Village. And I strongly, with a fierce passion, oppose this AQ collection proposal. We all know the effects. Last night's hearing that we heard over and over again, that the facts are distorted. Right now, I only ask Holy Spirit to speak to every heart in this place and space to bring out the truth, to know the truth, walk out the truth, and that is to malama our resources. Every single one of them. 1,000 goes out, only 200 survive. What is that? Data collecting, saying that everything is sustainable with AQ. When you guys know for a fact, where did those data come from? The CBSFA? The closed sections already closed? Where did it come from? Right now, the final thing to do is to malama. AQ is not sustainable. Let us be real in this moment. It never was. I was taught how to scuba dive by Pete Basabe, Uncle Taituna, also known as Uncle Tuna. Alika Grace. I sat at the bottom of the ocean and seen the fullness of what real resources thriving look like. Many years after I returned, I looked, every antler coral destroyed. Dead, and this is right in front of Middle Lee, not knowing that I learned how to scuba dive from the very ones that literally was partaking in the killing of our reef. Again, let us be real. AQ sustainable? Ole, never was. So in this moment, my brothers who sit on the door, council, scientific facts, konahiki, I'm part of that. You know in your hearts what's the truth. Are you gonna support AQ who has thousands, millions, billion-dollar industry? Billion-dollar industry, where does that money go? It does not come back to the people. The Lord God's word have said, Mark 12:30-31, to love the Lord with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, and to love thy neighbors as thyself. Whether we oppose each other in this moment, we must love each other no matter what. Right now, my brothers, I love you guys. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak. But more importantly, let the truth, eternal truth, sit on your hearts, mind, bodies, and souls, emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually, and make the right decision for the generations now, and my babies here, and the generations to come. That is all I need to say. Aole AQ collection. Mahalo. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my brothers, for hearing us.
Aloha, Repealing Crawford. I am a lineal descendant of Middle East fishing village. I am here to say no to aquarium collection. My family only takes for eat. We respect and love our ocean resources. Aole Aquarium.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank you.
I'm getting my hugs after.
Next up, we have Lisa Hua, Melvin Kaupiko, Ronnie Kaupiko, Taniala Tui Halafatai, Laila Kaupu.
Lohador. My name is Lisa Hua. My maiden name is Paulo. I was raised in Middle East, so I'm a lineal descendant of the place. In my younger days, I saw, everything was perfect. The fishes were there, and I became, I was also a fisherwoman for almost like 10 years. But I ended up doing some research, became an apprentice to
checking our own shorelines, and I saw that the fishes was being replenished as a part of my research. I believe that they should stay where they are. It shouldn't be taken. And I hope that you guys will see what we are trying to do. I oppose this AQ, and I know that you guys will decide to do the right thing. Thank you.
Aloha o moana ke ala koe. Aloha o moana ke ala koe no. Mamaloli I mai ala o ka olarunga I ala ke hula o he hoi. Manama I ke kai. O ka mamamua. O ka mana o ke ano e a o e hoi take care of the sea. Ina aore manama I ke kai. E wake ana na ia I o I loko o ke kahakai. Mahalo. Aloha, o maina kopi koko inoa, mamalili I mai au, e kou manaho no dar. I stand in this opposition to the aquarium fishing bill because our reefs are not meant to be obtained for display, tanks, or supplies for any such thing. In Hawai'i, the ocean feeds our families, supports our culture, and connects us to our ancestors. When reef fishing are taken for the aquarium trade, it takes away from the natural balance that keeps our reefs alive. This fish being collected and sometimes wasted are the same fish local families depend on for food. Every fish removed is one less resource for our community and future generations. Our ocean should be protected for sustained and cultural survival, not commercial profit. For the health of our reefs and the future of our people, as a descendant of Miloli'i of the last fishing village, I respectfully oppose this bill and sustain our Hawaiian reef. Mahalo.
My name is Kahomobian Kaupiko. I am a lineal descendant of Miloli'i village, and I strongly oppose to this matter under consideration. As a member of this community and a steward of both land and sea, I believe our natural resources are sacred trusts given by God, not commodities to be overused and mismanaged. In Genesis 1:26-28, God gives humanity dominion over creation, not for exploitation, but for responsible stewardship, care, and accountability. This dominion is a calling to protect, to nurture, and to sustain what has been entrusted to us, the Kanakas. This further affirmed in Genesis 2:15, where we are instructed to tend and keep to the land and the sea. That same responsibility extends to our ocean, our kai, which we are vital to the health, culture, and the future of our communities here in Hawaii. I strongly oppose to this proposal because it does not align with the level of stewardship required to preserve our marine ecosystem. Our kuleana is not only to meet present needs, but ensure that our future generations inherit healthy, thriving ocean resources. As it is written in Psalm 24:1, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. We are caretakers, not owners. For both a cultural and spiritual perspective, our ocean is a living resource that demands respect, balance, and wisdom. Any decision that risks the health and sustainability of marine life contradicts both our kuleana and our biblical responsibility. Therefore, I urge you, Department of DAR, to consider this matter, and instead of prioritizing policies that protects and restores, sustains Hawai'i marine ecosystem, let us lead with integrity, foresight, and deep reverence for both creation and creator. Mahalo for the opportunity for us to provide this testimony. This is for our future. This is for my kikis and my kikis to come. Mahalo nui.
Aloha, my name is Daniela Tui Halafatai. I am a descendant of Mililiki. I stand in strong opposition to aquarium fishing as a whole. Mahalo for this public hearing, but I do think this is coming far too late in the process of events. What you are hearing now and have heard for more than 10 years is a fundamental disagreement, not of the rules and regulations package, but of the activity of aquarium fishing, again, as a whole. I am disappointed to have seen so much time and resources, publicly funded resources, wasted into putting together a rules and regulations package when the activity should still be and is publicly under question. However, regretfully, we are here in hopes that you will all hear and act on the discussion that this public, the public you serve, is currently having with you. DAR stands for Division of Aquatic Resources, not products, nor goods, nor merchandise, resources. And this is the resources of Hawaii, not of Pijak or of the pet industry or the government and economy, Hawaii. That is the aina of which we, Kanaka, are inseparable from and have a responsibility to steward. As children of God above everything else, we should understand this responsibility of stewarding righteously that which God has given us. When the Israelites were in the desert hungry, God gave them food with specific instructions to take only what they needed. And I did say hungry, not greedy. But indeed, some of them were greedy, and some of us are greedy also today. Here's the problem: money talks. Peter's first letter to Timothy explains that the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. This is the greed that would snatch children off the streets, snatch land away from Kanaka, snatch fish from our ecosystem, and illegally overthrow our monarchy. There's extreme contrast, yes, but that's what we see when the roots of these issues lay in our greed for money. I will conclude with a more direct perspective to this issue. The same government that sees a 3-3 tied vote as an acceptable vote to act on is the same government that writes the rules and standards of the validity of EISs. I urge this division and department to reconsider their stance on aquarium fishing and the greedy influences supporting its industry. Mahalo for your time and careful consideration of all given testimonies. Aloha, Yakuoku.
Pamela Small.
Wow, we saw all of that. That was great. Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo. Aloha kako. My name is Lila Kopu, born and raised in Kapalilua, Konahema, Hopuloa, Mililiki, and Omoka'a to be exact. I stand on my written testimony, and I sit here today with more mana'o in strong opposition of the AQ rules proposal, reopening West Hawai'i to the trade, and against it going statewide. A'ole AQ. I've heard some interesting testimonies through the years. Facts this, science that. The fact of the matter is, where did the ACL come from? Data of that which was already taken. Chuck that to the poho bucket, yeah? Because that doesn't tell me what's in the kai. That doesn't tell me what is actually allowed to be taken, yeah? No amount of science or data or fact will. I've heard those in opposition, you've been going the water, so they don't know what they're talking about. Well, one thing's for sure. I don't need to be in the water for cedar depletion. Yeah. Let alone, I don't need to be in the water for seeing an AQ vessel perched just outside of an FRA, all the while kiloing bubbles from within. I've also heard emotional count. It's not data. But you know what is? Mo'olelo. Stories of kupuna saying how they have to travel further now for their ono, when used to be a stone throw away from their front yard. That's data. That's data triggering an emotion of heva. And this trade is a contributor to that heva. All this coming from a fifth generation of one small fishing village, yeah, where my kuleana lies within, around, and on the kai, especially as the Middle East CBSFA Outreach and Monitoring Coordinator. Yeah. Anyway, issuing 7 permits at $100, giving DAR 700 a year. Enjoy, I guess, but that's nothing back to the community. Allowing 2,412 individual species, timesing that by 7 per year. Well, let's not forget the bycatch. And I don't mean the species that's not on the white list, but those with defects, deformities, distortionary markings. What happens to those? Well, past events have shown. That's not how. To wrap it up, if our mindset is set for its financial gains, then how does one adhere to the values of Malama Aina when there is no give back before even taking? This is where cultural values, codes of conduct, culture period go unsolicited and ignored. By the way, AQ is not a cultural practice. We all know the pros when it comes to keeping our fish on the reef. Let's start with just keeping them on the reef. The reef needs them, the coral needs them, the limu need them, we need them. Not no glass case filled with water so people can poke and probe, ooh and ah, all at a price. In the end, we're gonna be the one paying the price. Mahalo.
My job, I'm a small. Okay, go ahead. Thanks. And if I call your name, you can make your way to the front. There's a waiting table where you can wait to provide your testimony.
Yes.
Okay. Jim Ward, William Hui, Nehemiah Traub, Alan Small, and John Bertram.
Aloha, I'm Jim Ward. I just wanted to go on record as my complete opposition to the proposed rules. For the sake of argument, if the rules passed and I see there's certain species and there's certain things and it all looks good on paper, in the 20 years I've been diving the Kona coast, I've seen DLNR twice in the harbor. I live down above Milili'i where these wonderful people were just talking about their heritage. And I've seen what's happened to that reef, and I've been out there, and I'll be out there tomorrow scuba diving, and I've seen the collectors. And we've had a full ban on aquarium collecting, and they're still out there. So the aquarium ban really, to me, only kept the honest people honest. This practice still goes on, and there's no way with what you've proposed with these rules, you have enough manpower to patrol the coast. I'm real curious why the ban has been enacted for Oahu, where you have manpower, and it's open for West Hawaii. That is baffling to me. But back to the commercial side of it, as a former concierge at resorts on the west side, one of the comments I got going forward from the early 2000s was, I don't see as many of those pretty fishing. Now, from a financial aspect of tourism for the state of Hawaii, that's disastrous. We used to come to Kona, we see a lot of goldfish at Captain Cook. We don't see them anymore. So that's it in a nutshell. There's no way I can be more eloquent than what I just heard in terms of the cultural and spiritual reasons for this. But there's an economic reason for this, and that is if people stop coming to Hawaii to go snorkeling and see the pretty fish, our economy is in a tough place. Thank you.
Hello, my kako. My name is William Ma'ehui. I come from Middle East Fishing Village. I'm our lead kilo diver for our Middle East CBSFA. One thing I'd just like to share really is, as we've been hearing from everyone today, is a cultural thing. And here in Hawaii, without Hawaii, without our culture, what is there to see? What is there to believe in? What is there to do? Without our culture, without our practices, what are we? How can we be Hawaiian when Hawaiians are pushing us out? I understand that their practices, as they see it, is pono. But as a cultural practitioner of many generations, it is not pono. I speak for myself on this as EFC Middle East has brought up many generations, keikis, because we see multiple generations. It's not just this generation now that we're feeding. We're expecting to see multiple generations. This practice is not pono, but they say it is. They say the science is pono. Is it? Hearing that there's lack of data, lack of going out. Here in Hawaii, like as me, as a Kanaka, as a CBSFA kilo diver, I go out often. I see the changes, seasonal. And with the pressures, there is lots and lots of pressures. The thing is, us Kanakas, we're not here to only protect our ocean. We're here to protect our culture, our true selves, our definition of Hawaiians. For me, it is not just a gather with fish and sell and hey, it's okay. No, for me, this is our kupuna. This is our ohana. In the Kumulipo, this is taught to us. And to have these people tell us that we're not right, I don't know about that. But for me, I'm gonna keep it quick and simple because I know there's others to talk. I will back my time for others. But here, I would say I strongly oppose the AQ rules. And as you guys see behind me, this room is full of gold. I carry on this golden shirt. As Lau'i Pala belong on the reefs, not in tanks.
Just out of respect for everyone else on the list, if we could try to keep the transitions really short, maybe limit the applause, and if you're up next, please come up and transition quickly. Thank you.
My name is Pamela Small, and I'm a resident of Kauai. We have debated commercial aquarium collection for over a decade, and it's time to end it. It is time to put a stop to the exploitation of our precious coral reefs and aquatic life for good. As a scuba diver and boater, I have been watching the quality of Hawaii's coral reefs deteriorate since I was young. Back then, I'd swim through a bright sea of yellow tang. Now I barely spot 2 or 3 on my dives. The number of reef fish has been horribly depleted by and for the profit of a few local collectors and aquarium keepers on the mainland. Those depleted herbivore fish kept algae in check. Without them, whole sites are choked with thick algae blankets. With climate change causing stronger storms, algae blooms, and rising ocean temperatures, our reefs are more fragile than ever. A healthy ocean keeps everything balanced. Remove or deplete one key species and the entire ecosystem suffers or collapses. Tourism is Hawaii's biggest draw. Over 80% of visitors participate in marine activities such as snorkeling or boat tours. When reef fish vanish, thick algae covers the reef, the water turns dull, and the underwater magic fades. People notice. They leave disappointed. We lose the beauty that keeps them coming back to and our economy takes the hit. The ocean is Hawaii's most precious resource. Ocean activities are cornerstones of Hawaiian life and culture. The state has a public trust obligation to protect natural resources for present and future generations. That protection is for kids who will dive someday, swimming among large schools of vivid fish, spotting octopus tucked in the rocks, or gliding past manta rays at night, for paddling outrigger canoes with kupuna at sunset, for surfing clean ocean waves that break just right. This is for the Hawaiian culture that we all cherish, for our children and for our future. This is your opportunity to honor that obligation by not allowing commercial aquarium collection in West Hawaii. Please ban commercial collection now. Back the ban with real enforcement, monthly reef monitoring, heavy fines, jail for repeaters, and boat seizures. You have the power. Please do the right thing. Hawaii's sea is our lifeblood. Let's protect it before it's too late.
Aloha. My name is John Bertram. I am a Kona small business owner, scuba diver, and a resident of Kauai. I'm also a knowledgeable and responsible aquarium keeper of 18 years, and I support the ban on commercial aquarium collection in Hawaii waters. The science is clear. A full ban is the only way to let reefs heal before we lose more. Recent DLNR and NOAA monitoring right up through 2025 into 2026 shows that our key herbivores, yellow tang, cold tang, orange spine unicorn fish, chevron tang, and others haven't fully rebounded despite pauses in collection. Per NOAA data, yellow tang saw no discernible increase in West Hawaii since the 2017 pause. Experts expected a doubling of the population based on biology, but that has not occurred. These grazers are made up most of the fish removed by the collectors. Yellow tang alone made up 80% of the take, with cold tang, unicorn fish, and other herbivores taken as well. Why do they matter? They keep the turf algae in check, preventing thick overgrowth that smothers corals, blocking sunlight, and stops new coral larvae from settling. Without them, reefs turn green and die off, as we have seen in heavily collected areas. DLNR's oversight has fallen short in 2022. The West-Hawaiʻi Aquarium Project slashed surveys from 3 to 7 times a year down to only 1 annually. Now we are missing seasonal trends and real-time changes, flying blind on reef health. Enforcement is reactive. Doe care busts come from tips, but there is no routine officer boarding boats to assess hauls, verify catches, or to stop issues on site. Per DLNR enforcement reports, black market risks have grown. Collectors poach in paused collection zones, like the 2022 Nalalehu bust, where Doe Care seized 333 yellow tang from a boat in West Hawaii's restricted area. Illegal hauls slip through weak or non-existent patrols, with reports of underground sales happening right in residential garages, waiting to ship to the mainland buyers via air cargo. Until Hawaii implements robust safeguards, enhanced monitoring protocols, dedicated patrols, routine on-site boat inspections, and stringent enforcement mechanisms, commercial aquarium collection in the state waters remains unacceptable. Without these measures, the risk to our fragile ecosystem outweighs any potential benefits. It is imperative that we prioritize long-term protection over short-term allowances and ensuring the health of our marine resources for generations to come. Mahalo.
Grace Danai, Hayapo Cho. Some of you may have already testified. I apologize, but Mana Olana Cho, David Cho, Malia Kipapa, Olivia Arnau, and Brian Fujikawa.
I forgot my glasses, so bear with me. Aloha kakodar. My name is Orchid Razdani. I am a Mililii resident with ancestral ties to this area and the ocean. I'm also an economic educator and business owners whose Hapana culture and belief system depends on the health and vibrancy of Hawaii's ecology. My public testimony is in strong opposition to the proposed rules reopening a commercial aquarium collection. What is happening here is a cultural and ethical imperative. The proposed rules to reopen commercial aquarium collection in Hawaii waters represents a regression in our commitment to Manama Ikai. As stewards of these islands, we must honor the principle that the land is chief and we are its servants. The commercialization of our reef wildlife is stripping native species from their homes to be sold as ornaments in private rooms. It is fundamentally at odds with the public trust doctrine. Our marine resources must be managed for the benefit of the present and future generations of Hawaii residents, not for the profit of a few commercial entities and global collectors. The proposed reopening of the commercial aquarium trade in Hawaii contradicts the established data regarding reef resiliency and species mortality. While the industry emphasizes population stability, it overlooks the systemic degradation of reef health and catastrophic waste inherent to the supply chain. The science supporting the continued protection of our reef is clear. Reopening these fisheries threatens the delicate balance of our nearshore ecosystem. The trade primarily targets herbivore fish, such as the yellow tang. These species are critical lawnmowers of the reef, consuming algae that would otherwise smother coral. In the era of increasing ocean heat waves and chloral bleaching, removing of these natural protectors cripples the reef's ability to recover. Collectors specifically target juvenile fish before they have a chance to reproduce. This recruitment of overfishing disrupts the natural population cycle, leading to long-term declines that take decades to reverse. Independent data suggest a staggering percentage of captured wild reef die within the first year of captivity. Replacing these disposable animals create an insatiable demand that no wild population can sustainably meet. The aquarium trade is categorized by high loss of life ratio that is unacceptable for public trust resources. Research estimates that over 90% of wild-caught reef fish die within 1 year of capture due to the stresses of decompression, transport, and waste-filled water and malnutrition in captivity. Export invoices show approximately 24.2% of fish caught are rejected by exporters before they even leave the source, representing thousands of wasted life that are removed from the reef with zero economic or hobbyist benefit. Rejection rates for families in the ocean are staggering: 54.2% for cardinal fish, 26.3% for butterfly fish. The removal of herbivore direct threat on coral survival, particularly Hawaii, faced more bleaching events. Okay, can I? Okay, sure, of course. Now, the state resources spent on monitoring these limited commercial permits are better allocated enforcing existing nearshore fishing regulations and climate change mitigation, which lack in the enforcement and oversight. We demand a permanent ban on commercial aquarium collection to ensure that our blue continent remains thriving and protected for the generations yet to come. Do not go against science and do not go against our very culture. Respectfully submitted. Thank you.
Aloha, Division of Aquatic Resources. Thank you for allowing me to present on behalf of Kaikuleana Network. My name is Malia Kipapa. I live right up the road. I come from Kona. I represent Kaikuleana, which is a network made up of over 15 organizations in West Hawaii, ranging from Kohala to South Kona. Kaikuleana submits this testimony in strong opposition to any rule that would allow aquarium fish collection to resume in West Hawaii. Kaikuleana Network represents community members, cultural practitioners, and lineal descendants across West Hawaii, throughout Kohala and South Kona. We are committed to the protection of our nearshore ecosystems, the health of our reefs, inseparable from the well-being of our communities, and to exercise our native Hawaiian traditional customary practices. In 2023, the Board of Land and Natural Resources recognized clear community-driven support for statewide ban on aquarium fish collection. Reopening West Hawaii to large-scale extraction contradicts that directive and the expectations of communities across the state. Our communities have been consistently engaged in the legislative process to ensure that the state policy informs agency rulemaking, HB 2101, remains active, and we continue to advocate for a statewide ban through ongoing engagement with legislators, advancing rules that allows collection to resume while this measure is still under consideration is premature and undermines the legislative process. Prior to 2017, millions of reef fish were removed from West Hawaiʻi for the aquarium trade, disrupting ecosystem balance and depleting key species essential to reef health. At a time when reefs are already under severe stress from climate change and coral bleaching, reintroducing this extractive practice threatens ongoing recovery and community stewardship efforts. The removal of reef fish for export diminishes access to the public trust resource and interferes with subsistence and cultural practices. For these reasons, Kaikuleana urges you to reject any rule allowing aquarium fish collection to return in West Hawaiʻi and instead support a statewide prohibition that reflects community will, protects reefs, ecosystems, and ensures long-term abundance. Mahalo for the opportunity to provide this testimony.
Hello, Ron Richardson, Desmond Twig-Smith, Lisa Twig-Smith, Barbara Bell.
Hello, my name is Brian Fujikawa. I was born and raised here in Kona. I worked for the airlines back in the 90s and early 2000s, and I used to load those boxes. Thousands of those boxes through my time there. So I know how much fish went out of these islands back then. The damage has already been done. To recover from that is going to be, I don't think you will ever recover from that. I'm also used to be a commercial fisherman for many years. I grew up fishing. So I understand about trying to make money off the resources of the ocean. I do understand that. But the difference between AQ versus commercial fishing is AQ goes into an aquarium for somebody to look at, and when it dies, it goes down the toilet, or it gets rejected at wholesale and it dies there. Versus commercial fishing for substance where it goes to feed somebody. There's a big difference there. And the difference is, like again, COVID proved it, where when the ships were stopped coming in, because I served the community out of my restaurant 80,000 meals during that time. I fed the community 80,000 meals. Okay. So I understand that not every family has the boat to go out and be able to catch fish, but every family can go out and catch fish from the shores. If we keep taking from the shoreline through AQ to sit in an aquarium somewhere, we're taking away food for families who cannot afford, especially now, times are hard. So if you guys pass this, what is our next generation? Because trust me, life is going to get harder for the next generation. I can imagine what my kids and my grandkids will have to go through for this. Because, like I said, without the resources to feed families, there's not going to be nothing else left. So, common sense. Aquarium to look pretty for some rich people, or to put food on plates for the families who are actually struggling here in Hawaii. Thank you.
Aloha, everyone. I echo all the sentiments that have already been said, and so I'll keep it short. I'm Brenna. I'm from the waters of California, no California Mayo, and I live in Kealakekua. I oppose any DAR regulations and call for a total aquarium trade ban. I speak today for the fish and for the reef who don't have a voice here. Our reef is not for sale, not for one Rauipala or any precious fish on the coast. Let us look to the future and try not to inflict the mistakes of the past. It was banned once before and should not be considered for reopening again, not this year, not in 10 years, not in 100 years. I hope we can allow our reefs to heal from previous aquarium trade and not consider hurting the marine ecosystem we all depend on any further. Mahalo Kiha for hearing my testimony.
Aloha, my name is Ron Richardson. I live in Holualoa. Through the course of this evening, we have heard a series of very good reasons to ban AQ in Hawaii indefinitely. They've been delivered with passion and precision, and it's been a humbling experience for me and one I'm honored to participate in. All of those reasons are absolutely legitimate, from the economic reasons to the cultural reasons to the environmental reasons. I will give you one more. Through the process of watching this bill and these proposals move through the system, I and everybody else have seen exceptions come and go, arbitrary population limits to the counties that they should apply to applied and disappeared, and it has created the irreversible impression that our system of protecting our environment is subject to money, to who says what to who for how many dollars. You have an opportunity now to respect the environmental reasons, to absolutely see the cultural reasons, and to reverse that impression and demonstrate that you are in fact stewards of our environment with a permanent ban on aquarium fishing. Thank you.
Next up, we have, after this, Barbara Bell, Leonard Orson, Noel Lindemann, Mike Nakachi, Kaikea Nakachi, Alohi Nakachi.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Ronald Robinson. I live here in Kona. I'm an anesthesiologist. I'm an officer actively serving in the Air Force. I'm a small business owner whose revenue is tied directly to the health of the reef. I'm committed to the well-being of our community. I serve as treasurer for Recycle Hawaii. I'm a diver with Reef Check and Ocean Defenders Alliance, and I'm the squadron commander for our Civil Air Patrol. I'm an avid recreational diver with 50 years of experience and have been diving this reef for 20 years. My observations from both underwater, diving the reef on a weekly basis, and flying over the reef frequently, in addition to the data provided by both DAR and historical studies like TISO and Holoker, show that our fish populations have not recovered as predicted during the hiatus in commercial aquarium collecting. This means the model DAR is quoting to support aquarium fish collection is inaccurate. Now that the fish which have historically been collected from the reef are available through aquaculture, there remains no reason to continue removing this vital link in the reef ecosystem via commercial collection. It is time to stop putting the self-interest of a small group of commercial aquarium collectors above the shared interest of our community. Blast fishing is wrong and it is illegal. Cyanide fishing is wrong and it is illegal. Commercial whaling is wrong and it is illegal. Commercial aquarium collection is wrong and it is time to make it illegal. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Barbara Bell. I'm here for the group Puako for Reefs. We are a nonprofit working for reef recovery in South Kohala. We respectfully submit this testimony, strong opposition to new rules to allow commercial collection of aquarium fish in our waters. We are spending a whole lot of time and effort and money to get wastewater off of our reefs. And to see another easily solved stressor not being allowed to help us, that's already there, to allow them to be taken is really demoralizing for people that are spending a lot of time, myself included, to try to make our marine environment, our nearshore waters safer, healthier, you know, everything prettier. So, you know, when DLNR supported a community-led proposal to ban aquarium collected, then directed DAR to make rules. We really did not expect these would be the rules. So there's a lot of reasons. Everyone's had great testimony. The chronic enforcement challenges, rampant poaching, ecological harm, key reef species are going away, public trust responsibilities, and then the economic reality. And then, I mean, a few people get the benefit, and then the rest of us get no benefit and all the harm. So I would like to ask you to get creative with your rules. You can do any number of things. You can slow walk them. I mean, we all know government doesn't move too fast. You could raise the cost of a permit. $100 seems rather ridiculously low. You could 100,000 tanks. Can't that number be like 1% of that, 5%? If you're, I mean, I'm not even looking at it culturally. I'm just trying to think of what you can maybe have within your power. Since I used to be a government employee, and I'm guessing you're under some stress to make these rules. But you can work them. We're here to support you in that. So thank you very much.
Aloha mai kako, everyone. Aloha dar. My name is Mike Nakachi. I humbly come before this body again. I bring into this space many kupuna that are not here, that have been a part of the West Hawaiʻi Fisheries Council as well. Auntie Josephine Kamoku, Junior Kanuha, Frank Ota, Auntie Lily Kong. The list goes on and on of kupuna that have passed and that have planted seeds in a lot of us, especially myself, to tell me that this aquarium trade had no place in Hawaii. So imagine in 1953, they say that this is something that can be done, a rubbish fish. And to many of us that are Kanaka, all of these are sacred kinolau to the well-being of that spirituality and that place that we all call home in Kanaloa Nui Akea. It is something that we have engaged with civically, and whatever I speak of here as a cultural practitioner and as a lineage of a kahu mano is not any form of a kapa'akai hokaina analysis. But in the future, when that is done, I ask that we be consulted with. And most of the people in this room should be consulted with. It is not the role of us to provide, but I am here to also talk about the negative and cumulative harms that has happened in all of the open areas. I have over 40 years experience of diving this entire Western region. I could name many wahipana that have not recovered, but it seems like our voice, and it seems like at every point we interject. We came to this body and we went to also the Board of Land and Natural Resources as a petitioner that was unanimously granted and approved to ban the aquarium fish trade statewide. However, somehow it got pivoted into entering into the rules making over the last couple of years. This has been fast-tracked. This has been premature. The SBRRB also went forward with reservations. Those have not been addressed. There is many things that feel like you folks are doing this under the threat of potential litigation from the aquarium trade. So what? Bring it on. Bring it on.
Hi, how's it? My name is Kaikia Nakachi. I was born and raised here in Mokuokiawe. I have a master's degree in conservation biology and environmental science, but more important than that, I practice aloha aina. I'm very familiar with the rulemaking process. I've supported numerous community-led efforts, and I'm currently entrenched with DAR for community-led rules right now. The scrutiny and work that Hawaiian communities are directed to do by you, DAR, needs to be applied to this DAR effort. The process is not at all equal. Communities end up needing to do multiple years of outreach before Chapter 91 and must change our plans multiple times based on feedback. This plan did not get presented to any Native Hawaiian communities. It did not even go in front of the West-Hawaiʻi Fisheries Council, which was formed nearly 30 years ago for the sole purpose of advising DAR on rules for the aquarium trade in West Hawaiʻi. The numbers in this plan came straight from the industry's EIS. Only small changes were made to the EIS after it was unanimously rejected. Every concern we had were not even remotely addressed before it was resubmitted, and it only passed after default of a 3-3 deadlock. The only changes made since then were not made by you, DAR, but by the DLNR, and they were not near enough. I still have all my same concerns that remain unaddressed. An annual catch limit that was determined not with data, but based purely on past catch records. You mean the catch records that were volunteer and proven to be underreported? You mean the amounts of catch that led to declines in our fish populations? How does that make any sense? And we expect one single round of DAR surveys a year and NOAA surveys that only come every 3 years and survey different parts of the coast each time will be adequate? Let me be very clear. Not being able to measure an impact due to not enough data is not the same as saying there will be no significant impact. Please see my written testimony detailing the various cultural, ecologic, economic, and ethical reasons why we should not allow this trade to continue. The rules as presented are set up for failure, and it will be the Native Hawaiian subsistence fishers and communities who will be most impacted, despite us being the ones contributing the most to improving fish populations through place-based rulemaking, coral planting, and invasive fish removal, to name a few. In other words, we uphold the mission of DAR, while DAR seeks to attempt to auction off that hard-earned reef health to 7 fishers. Public resources belong to everyone, but they are stewarded by the ignored, and you are trying to sell them to the greedy few. It's time to listen to the overwhelming majority. Stop this plan from moving forward, end commercial aquarium collection, focus your resources on joining Native Hawaiians that are upholding your mission for you. Focus your resources on using your new boats to conduct more monitoring and support DoCare to enforce that poaching before it continues to happen legally. I'll wrap it up by just saying, do what is right before you fully lose the trust of the only people who actually help you uphold your mission.
Nikki, Roderick, Kehao, Springer, and we have about 2 hours left, 120 minutes, and about 60 more testifiers. So after this, we'll be reducing the time to 2 minutes per testifier. All right, the names again: Charles Young, Greg Anderson, Gabriel Katz, Nikki Roderick, Kehao Springer.
Hi, my name is Alohi Nakachi. I was born and raised on Mokuokiawe. I have a PhD from the University of Hawaii at Manoa in the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Management. The aquarium trade has long been a major driver in my pursuit for contemporary higher education. I have long felt that Native Hawaiian voices have not been well heard or included in contemporary management. The aquarium trade is an example of that, and I conducted my master's research showing that. In my master's, I used the levels of conflict model to understand the conflict and contention of the aquarium trade. The levels of conflict has 3 levels. The first is the dispute, the observable, tangible, immediate expression of a conflict. The second is the underlying conflict or the history of unresolved disputes. To quickly explain some, there's a distrust and shown lack of enforcement and effective management, as well as a lack of faith and harm from regulatory processes and bodies. It has widely been accepted for decades now that marine management entities have limited capabilities, capacity, management efforts are ineffective, and marine enforcement is lacking. So while many have referred to the aquarium trade as the most regulated fishery in Hawaii, it may have many rules, but with lacking enforcement and limited management is far from being regulated. There's been a lack of faith in management and rulemaking processes, particularly as Ike Hawaii and Native Hawaiian voices are not well acknowledged. This also goes into the third level, the deep-rooted and identity-based conflicts of this trade. This trade was inaccurately initially portrayed as a user conflict between dive operators and aquarium collectors. Management efforts to mitigate user conflicts were not effective at addressing the actual deep-rooted conflicts of this trade. In 2023, the DLNR voted unanimously to ban the aquarium trade by acknowledging the cultural harms of this trade. However, there was a legal loophole presented suggesting they could not ban the trade. So they suggested to you folks to create rules as close to a ban. Here we are today, very far from a near ban, with management agencies passing off responsibilities of regulations and bans between each other. To expand on the deep-rooted and identity-based conflicts of this trade, Native Hawaiian voices and Ike Hawaii showing irreversible fish behavior and ecological changes and harms have not been acknowledged. The aquarium trade is also a fishery that does not feed, but is a luxury hobbyist practice where collectors remove fish out of INA systems, and if they survived, are shipped almost entirely, estimated 95% outside of the Pai INA, and if they survive that entire process, spend the rest of their life in a tank for human enjoyment. That is a practice that is completely incompatible and unacceptable to a Native Hawaiian value system and to a Native Hawaiian worldview. As we face compounding and increasing ecological threats in Hawaii, struggle to maintain INA systems and INA integrity, struggle to feed Hawaii, and face increasing diaspora, supporting a fishery that does not feed is completely unacceptable and disrespectful. The aquarium trade has shown clear ecological, socioeconomic, and cultural harms. Do what the DLNR already voted for you to do and make a ban or a near ban for this trade. I also support others calling for a Kapa'akai analysis. This does not constitute as testimony for a Kapa'akai analysis. I'm happy to support being consulted for that, or just in general as a social scientist. Mahalo nui.
I'm getting 3 minutes, right? Hello, my kako. My name is Charles Young. I live in Kealia, South Kona on Hawaii Island. I submitted my first written testimony opposing aquarium fish collecting in 1998 alongside Willie and Damien out there. My legal basis for that was that Article 12, Section 7 of the Hawaii State Constitution calls for the protection of Native Hawaiian traditional and customary rights. In the year 2000, 2 years after the establishment of WHRFMA, the state Supreme Court ruled that when making decisions, agencies must assure that those rights are protected, and the court also set out a framework for agencies to follow. Agencies must make specific findings and conclusions as to, one, the identity and scope of valued cultural, historical, and natural resources in the petition area, including the extent to which traditional and customary Native Hawaiian rights are exercised in the petition area. Two, the extent to which those resources, including traditional and customary Native Hawaiian rights, will be affected or impaired by the proposed action. And three, the feasible actions, if any, to be taken to reasonably protect Native Hawaiian rights if they are found to exist. I have two concerns. One, why would an agency be proposing rules of this magnitude that negatively affects Hawaii Public Trust, the Hawaii Public Trust, to support an industry which provides little or no benefit to the trust or its beneficiaries, who are me, my family, and my descendants, and whose only goal is to provide profit to a few residents who in turn sell Hawaii's public trust assets to offshore markets where significant profits are made, profits never to be reinvested into the trust. This calls into question how well our trustees are managing our trust. In 2000, the state Supreme Court laid out okay, I'm going to just go a little further. I am extremely disappointed that a constitutionally protected right is next to last in the process before final rulemaking. And I remind the agency that Native Hawaiian traditional and customary rights are the only constitutional protected rights contained within this proposal. Those who choose a career or are accustomed to a certain lifestyle from the careers they chose do not have constitutionally protected right. I ask that you pause Chapter 91. Thank you.
How's it, guys? My name is Gabriel Katz. I'm a resident of Kailua Kona. I want to first start by saying it's easy to sit in a room full of people that I agree with and come to speak. I appreciate you guys for listening to our testimonies tonight and being here and hearing the voices of the people. I want to proceed with my written testimony. Again, my name is Gabriel Katz. I am a reef surveyor with Reef Check, which conducts surveys on coral reefs to gauge their health, as well as fish and vertebrate populations. And I volunteer as part of the local coral nursery's rewilding initiative. I have seen firsthand the fragile state of our reef ecosystems and can tell you, even in the best case of opening up the wild aquarium trade in our local waters and having all parties follow all rules and regulations pertaining to it, it is at best still harmful to our reefs. Aside from running the risk of people not following the rules, aside from the arbitrary capture limits for keystone species, aside from the risk of removing too many fertile individuals from species within the reef's food chain, and aside from fish dying in the process of capture and transit to even be reported to DAR, corals themselves actually depend on the marine acoustic environment being maintained for their settlement and propagation. This means that removing fish and invertebrates from their environment, even if seemingly non-keystone species, nor fertile individuals within prey species, still can contribute to the degradation and ultimate desolation of our coral reefs. In working on reef surveys, I've heard from kupuna and people much more knowledgeable than me that fish population density is down and that the reefs look sick. The best case to come from the wild aquarium trade will be exacerbation of these issues, and at worst, it will outright catalyze the downfall of our already fragile reef and ocean ecosystem. We have not heard yet tonight impassioned people speaking in support of these proposed regulations. We have only heard strong and informed opposition. These are the voices of the people, the public that you serve. Please support Bill HB 2101 to ban the aquarium trade from these waters to protect the future of Hawaii's reefs and our future generations. Well, thank you. Mahalo.
Aloha, my name is Greg Anderson. I am a boat captain, commercial boat captain and dive master. I have been diving in West Hawaii and working in the dive industry here for over 35 years. Reestablishing an aquarium collection under the proposed geographical endorsements and ACLs will negatively affect the economic well-being of the local dive and snorkeling businesses here and its hundreds of employees and owners. Visitors pay millions of dollars annually in West Hawaii to view the abundance and variety of colorful, unique fish on our West Hawaii reefs. Aquarium collecting under the proposed ACLs and geographic endorsements will reduce the abundance of these fishes, thus reducing the attractiveness to diving and snorkeling tourism, which will negatively affect our local economy. As DAR has pointed out in its own website, a recent scientific analysis showed population declines of some of our favorite reef fish by as much as 75%. Our marine environment is resilient, but it needs our kukua to thrive again with abundance. Mahalo for your time.
So after KL, we have Sandy, Akaka, Byron K, Zoe K, Keanu Bimni, Lehua Kamaka.
Velina mai kako, aloha dar. Ovao no ke honani Springer, he kanako vivao. I'm a researcher, cultural practitioner, and I'm residing in Puna, Hawaii. And I stand in opposition to this proposal. This rulemaking does not solve the problems, it just legitimizes the continued extraction of our reefs for ornamental purposes under the guise of management. And from Kanakaʻiwi perspective, these fish are not just resources. Through the Kumulipo, our creation chant, the Ukuko'ako'a is the first to be born, and all the I'a and other animals to follow are our ancestors. I'm not opposing fishing. My friends Ohana and I are Lawai'a, and we know our kuleana to maintain pono balance and not to manage it for profit. And I'm opposed to this type of extraction. I also want to be clear that science is not limited to Western quantitative data sets. Our Po'olawai'a and Konehiki build long-term ecological monitoring through practices like kilo, makavalu, and makahanaka ike. This ike also lives in our mo'olelo, our ka'au, inoa aina, and our wahipana that carry generational knowledge about species, seasons, conditions of place, and how we should be acting, so management actions. This is our type of data. Kanawai and Kapu are examples of management systems built from that knowledge. And Kanaka science already exists, and it must be treated as foundational in these decisions. The Kulana Kahu'aina document developed by the Kali'u Kapa'akai Collective reminds us that our reef, ko'a, and moana are living ancestors, and that stewardship must challenge these extractive systems and center Ike Hawai'i. We should not be setting quotas for depletion. We should be setting protections for recovery. I would like to be requested to be consulted for the Kapa'akai analysis related to this topic, and this testimony is not my complete contribution. E ai ke kahi, e kapi ke kahi. Eat some and leave the rest. Mahalo.
Also, people do not have time to go through all their their oral testimony. You can submit written testimony. So if you would like to just summarize your testimony to give other people time, you're welcome to do that.
As a biologist who has studied population dynamics, removing yellow tangs from the ecosystem means there will be fewer grazers to clean the algae from the reefs. This will lead to fewer reefs. The cascading effects will mean fewer fish, crustaceans, and other animals in Hawaii's nearshore waters. Hawaii's western coast used to be called the Gold Coast because of the vast abundance of yellow tangs in the shallow waters. No one calls it that anymore. Collection limits for yellow tangs are proposed at 100,000 fish. Seems like a conveniently round number. I wonder how it was arrived at. Please pass HB 2101 with an amendment, including Hawaii Island in the ban for aquarium collection.
Please state your name for the record.
Byron K. You get that?
Hello, my name is Zoe Kay, and I oppose aquarium fishing in its entirety. The capture of wild fish for aquarium purposes is inhumane and unethical. Many captured fish will not survive transport or captivity. These fish are not peacefully collected. They will be chased, cornered, netted, or trapped. Fish hide in the coral when they are chased. This means not only will the fish be injured and killed in the process, but our reefs will as well. When transported, fish are regularly packed in small plastic bags or containers for days, if not weeks. There will be temperature changes, limited water and air, infections, and deaths. Even if transportation methods are regulated, enforcement will be very difficult and poor. Abusive methods will be used. There is a value in the Hawaiian lands that we are meant to care for the land and sea, not take from it for profit. This isn't food or necessity. This is entertainment at the cost of the animals' lives. Thank you.
Experiment names will be James, Elder, Mandy, Dan, Lou, Olu, Sabrina Wren, William Stoller.
Aloha, my name is Kianubini Medeiros. I'm a lineal descendant of Kealaki Kuabe and a pra'a Hawaiʻaina of Huala Kealaki Kuanui. I'm here today in opposition of the proposed rules, and I'm in strong opposition of reopening commercial aquarium collection on Hawai'i Island and across the state. This fishery only contributes to the degradation and the weakening of an already fragile ecosystem. Aquarium collectors target the vital fish that maintain our reef's health. The fish that are responsible for contributing to reef recovery and reef resilience. This is in direct conflict with restoration and conservation efforts across Hawai'i. If there is any action that I'm going to support today, it is the statewide ban of commercial aquarium collection. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify.
Aloha mai kākou. My name is Lehua Kamaka, Sandy Lehua Kamaka. I am from Kona. I am a lineal descendant to Kikaha Waiʻole Kona, born and raised in the Akapua of Holualoa, grown, raised on Ali'i Drive. So you can kind of see my vision. I can see pretty much the coastline of, this part of North Kona. But I just want to, share my kilo. I walked in this room, I lined up. What did I see? Lauipala. It's like being, back in my days of Kona again. You're on the coastline and all you see is balls and boiling water of Lauipala. And to see this room filled with that is just a memory of remembering how we get the knowledge from our kupuna, passed down by my grandfather, side by side with my brother, mentored by Uncle Junior Kanuha. So just, living this opportunity to relive in this room, and this room is full of Lauipala. Once everybody leaves this room, maybe your kilo should be what happened. You know what I mean? What happened? That's exactly what's happening right now. We're not seeing them. We're not seeing the ball. We're not seeing what we saw that was taught to us from our kupuna and practice as practitioners do. So yeah, there's so much, 39 seconds, well, that's a lot. Fast, but just to put it all together that we need the reefs to stay healthy. I work with you folks, you guys are good to work with. Pono, poho, is it pono or is it poho, right? If they want to see the fishes, go buy a mask and snorkel, get in the water and go to where they're living. We grew up with glass boxes and that's how we looked at them, with masks, with no snorkel. But by the way, I'm just saying that, when you have this opportunity to listen to the people of place, make the right choices. Your vision says it clear, protect, restore, you guys know it, and I don't need to repeat it. To everybody who came, Kako, who's Kako, not only us here, the 40,000, 400,000 plus that is also with us, we carry the knowledge of our kupuna because we are growing the culture of tomorrow.
Hi, my name is Sabrina Wren. I work as a dive instructor here on island, and I am on the water pretty much every single day. There's a lot that I wrote down and wanted to say, but I'm super shocked by the turnout. There are so many people here, and a lot that I wanted to say has already been said. So I will bring a different perspective. I have been in grassroots organizations for pretty much my whole life. I've worked doing stuff like this since middle school, coming to commissioner court, small government, small stuff like this, and I'm super impressed by the turnout here. There are so many people here, so many people I know wanted to come and couldn't because of work. We're all here taking our time, and as we know, time is money. And that just shows how important this bill is, how important and how many people are opposed to aquarium fishing. And like someone else said, nobody here has said that they want this bill to pass. It's unbelievable how many people are here. Another thing I wanted to say is there are a lot of complex issues that are causing our reefs harm, such as climate change, overfishing, lots of different things. This is a very, very simple issue. All you have to do is just not do this, not let people take fish from our reefs. It's not a necessity at all, like commercial fishing is for food. It's literally just to look at fish. Economically, it makes no sense. We're taking money out of Hawaii and it's never coming back, versus tourism. The tourist industry is worth so much money. One yellow tang is worth so much more here than it is in an aquarium. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Vivian Zoller and I live here in Kona. And as I've only lived here since September, the beauty of the place is hard to put to words, but I oppose this commercial aquarium collection, and I wish that we would not go forward with it. It's not a sustainable practice, has never been. And I would like to speak to the people of Hawaii. You have stood up today. You have said what you needed to say. And I hope that you hear what we all need to say and what we believe is right, what we know is right, the facts that, back us up. And I'll leave you with a quote that stuck with me and will stick with me my entire life. Unless someone like us cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It is truly not. And I know that was said by Dr. Seuss, but I think we all can hold that to heart. We need to care, we need to speak. We all said it, like Sabrina had mentioned. So many of us came out today, many of us who may be shy and afraid to speak, and it's important that our voices are heard. We appreciate you for listening to us, and thank you so much for everybody, for all your voices. The fishes need us, the world needs us, and keep speaking.
William Stoller, Tekoa Alip, Kahaka Io Rakinsazart, Julie Stowell.
My name is Blue Augustine. I'm from Wainaku. My family is originally from South Kona and Ola'a. Today I'm not speaking as a human being. I'm speaking as the reef. I'm the flash of orange in your waters, the one you call Achilles. I'm the small, colorful movement in the coral, the one you call Hinalea. We are not separate from this place. We are this place. Every morning, we wake with the light. We move with the currents. We clean, we feed, we balance. We are not decorations. We are a living system, but now we are disappearing. Not all at once, not loud, quiet, one by one, net by net, bag by bag, taken from our homes to live in glass boxes far away. You call it collection. We feel it as loss. We feel it as absence. The reef is not just rock and water, it is relationship. And when you remove us, you don't just take a fish, you take a function, you take a role, you take a future. I am Achilles Tang, Pakuikui. I defend territory, I maintain balance, but I cannot defend against extraction. I am Hinalea. I bring color, I bring movement. I'm part of the joy you come to see, but I disappear quietly. And one day, there will be silence where there was once life. So I ask you, not just as a person, but as a voice for what cannot stand here today. Please protect us, not because we are beautiful, but because we are necessary. Not because we are yours, because we belong to this place. Imalama Ikekai, care for the ocean, because when the reef lives, we all live. Mahalo.
Ano ako, kahaka ilo Ravenscraft. Sorry about my bad handwriting. I come from Napopo, Kealakekua, a Hawaiian cultural practitioner, historian, and an academic informant on traditional ecological knowledge. I supported research for 3 dissertations. I'm also a second-generation scuba diver of 25 years. That's how long I've been diving, not how old I am. Anyway, at Kealakekua Bay, we work with DAR, Hawai'i State Parks, and our working groups, community and organizational partners. And in that work, we bring in 700 plus years of traditional ecological knowledge into our work and our practice with you folks that are sitting here in front of me. Our science requires adaptation on a fundamental level, and a true integration of adaptive management exists. It has existed for generations. It's called Kanawai Ki Hoʻihoʻi and Hanai Koa.
Hanai ko'a is the routine feeding of our fisheries. And it is one of the most crucial elements in the practice of lawai'a. And lawai'a is not a fisherman. Lava i'a, enough fish. Lawai'a is the person who makes sure there is an abundance of fish so that we can eat it and that we can celebrate our community and our achievements. Okay, I'm skipping through this. The compromise that the industry and the agency is looking at is not catch limits or blacklisted species. It's a fundamental shift in practice from extractive to regenerative. Hanai ko'a and Kanawai ki ho'iho'i hold the key to sustainable adaptive fisheries management. Our community-based efforts at Kealakekua are rooted in this methodology. The aquatic collection industry has a tremendous capability and potential to participate in these regenerative practices and support the efforts for our community's ecological benefits, not just for the benefit of its industry or its product. Its product is our akua. These are our vital elements. If these rules are going to call it self-management, it needs to address Hanai ko'a and Kanawai ki ho'iho'i. To ignore that is not management, it's a death sentence, and we are the condemned. Mahalo.
Corey Leicher, Jeff Leicher.
Aloha, my name is Julie Stoll and I live in Hamakua. Please keep the fish on our reefs. These are our relatives. They are not resources to be exploited. The fish do not dream of living in a glass house away from their families. We should not open up further extractive practices when the home of the fish, the ocean, is denigrated. DAR is now adding additional pressure on the already strained populations. Take a comparative look at the ocean prior to major developments, climate change, and more, to now, and you have a completely different ocean ecosystem. There is no mua in Holomua if we do not learn from the mua, the time that came before. We need to focus on restoring ecosystems. My husband, Kahu Kalani Souza, and I would like to be consulted for a ka pa'akai analysis. From what I understand, ka pa'akai is the legal framework that government agencies must follow in considering proposals that could impact Hawaiian traditional, cultural, and customary rights. I have not heard that DAR has done this yet. Please listen to the people of this aina, to the lineal descendants of these places that have already been severely impacted by colonization and destructive, exploitive practices. Please let the fish be free to live their lives in the way Keakua created. Mahalo.
Aloha. My name is Terry Leischer, and I am a managing partner at Jack's Diving Locker. A lot's been said, and I will follow up this testimony with a written testimony because I have so many questions. I grew up on Oahu in Kailua. I learned to dive on Oahu. We used to take wind-up fish to some of the sites because there weren't really many reef fish. We moved to Kona in 1982. And we've been diving and snorkeling in Kona since 1980. I'm here to speak on behalf of my business, my family, my children, grandchildren, and my community. I'm going to speak to the environment. If you haven't seen David Attenborough's documentary, Oceans, you should watch it. It's terrifying, it's beautiful. It has a happy ending if we listen to what he says. And in that documentary, the coral reefs are our life. If we don't have coral reefs, this world will not survive. Hawaii won't survive. The United States won't survive. Palau, the entire world will not survive. We have the opportunity to save our reefs. I wish I had water. And if we take the fish off the reef, it's a symbiotic. You've heard everybody say it. And so I am against extraction of any aquarium fish whatsoever on the Kona coast. The solution is for DAR to help the aquarists do propagation on land. It will make money, not spend money. It will save our reefs. We could put fish back into the water, theoretically. And one fish on Oahu can sell from $179 to over $400 for a yellow tang. We could be making money and helping people make money as opposed to spending it and depleting our resource. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chad McFadden, and I'm a boat captain here in Kona. I represent myself as well as Big Island divers. I'm someone who is in the water nearly every day. The reef is not an abstract resource to us. It is our workplace, our livelihood, and one of the main reasons people travel across the world to come here. We stand firmly against any effort to reopen aquarium fish collection in Hawaii. Our business and many others depend on healthy reefs, clear water, and abundant fish. When visitors get in the water, what they remember isn't just good visibility. It's life, movement, color. That experience is what keeps our local economy alive. I spend more time underwater than most. I see these reefs daily over long periods. I can tell you plainly, when fish are removed, it's noticeable. I've traveled to other places with stronger protections, and the difference is not subtle. There are more fish, larger fish, and reefs that feel alive in a way that is becoming increasingly rare here. Here at home, we've seen what collection looks like in practice. It doesn't just remove fish, it damages habitat. It's common for us to know exactly where something like a harlequin shrimp lives, only to return days later and find the coral broken apart and the animal gone. That's not sustainable use, that's extraction. And beyond environmental impact, there is a trust issue. If aquarium collection is allowed to reopen, many in this community will not see it as transparent or balanced. They will see it as decisions made through loopholes or behind closed doors. In a community divided on many issues, this isn't one of them. The message has been loud and it's been consistent. There is overwhelming support for keeping aquarium fish collection closed. Reopening it risks further damage to our reefs and further erosion of public trust. At the end of the day, this comes down to what we value more: short-term extraction for the benefit of the few or long-term sustainability. From where I stand, both professionally and personally, the answer is clear. Thank you.
Aloha Dar. My name is Robert Barca Kirk, and I live in Mauka Mioliki. I snorkel or dive several times a week. I have a small aquarium. I strongly oppose allowing aquarium collections in West Hawaii and across the state. There's much visible climate change damage to the reefs, mostly understand from the warming episodes a decade ago. The dead coral is still visible and overwhelming in places like Two-Step. The reef is slowly recovering and needs the fish to help that recovery. There's also a strain from residential cesspools near the coast, the majority of which are no longer used, but still contaminate the waters during every strong rain, contributing to high fecal counts, beach closures, and visible algae blooms on the corals. There are already not enough yellow tang and other herbivores to keep the coral clean in many areas. Although the rules proposed might seem theoretically appropriate with full compliance, but full compliance is a fantasy. I strongly doubt that 5 fish per permitted person would be economically viable for the aquarium collectors. Was the economic case even researched? If 5 fish per person per day isn't profitable, especially due to the die-off of this cruel supply chain, an inefficient supply chain, will the aquarium collectors comply? They will collect what they can and underreport. In my hundreds of dives in Kona, I've never seen a DLNR inspection. Given the existing collection lawlessness and the lack of effective enforcement, please do not give the industry the cover of permits to break the rules. What we need is more marine enforcement of the current regulations for fishing, for cesspools, and reef restoration. What we don't need is aquarium fishing trade. We need the reef fish on the reef, a public good for all to enjoy, not taken for the benefit of a small few people. Don't let private industry steal our fish. We trust DLNR will protect our fish. Please protect our fish. Mahalo for your consideration.
Ginger, Goye, Hara Dumagoyan, Rebecca Mopes, Keller Laros.
Aloha, my name is Jeff Fleischer. I'm a citizen of Hawaii. I've lived here 49 years and made my living on the ocean for 49 years as a dive guide, scuba instructor, boat captain, and dive shop owner with Jack's Diving Locker. When I read a headline that DAR was considering reopening the aquarium collecting industry, I thought it was a typo. And I read it again. It wasn't a typo. And I strongly oppose this rules package because it doesn't go far enough. I believe a complete ban would be preferable. DLNR has obligation to protect, number one, the natural resources. And I haven't heard anybody testify that there's too many fish and we've got to thin them out for the health of the reef. I've never heard the science support that at all. Most people seem to feel that the fish population is in decline, and there's lots of reasons that we know, but here's one that we can really do something about, and I think we should. Second, DLNR is obligated to protect the people of Hawaii, and I think you've heard how the people feel about this. There's a lot of yellow shirts, and I haven't heard anybody supporting this rules package. And then thirdly, the businesses in Hawaii. DLNR does have an obligation to them, but only after the first two. And even if the business aspect was the priority here, and the business doesn't make any sense. $700 is not going to cover the amount of effort to monitor this industry. Thank you.
Aloha. My name is Rebecca Villegas, and I have the honor, privilege, and responsibility of representing District 7 of the Hawaii County Council, which is Central Kona. Just a few months ago, the Hawaii County Council voted unanimously to ban the collection of reef fish and sent a strong message in the form of resolution to the state legislature and DAR. It was not a tie vote, it was a unanimous vote. Mahalo to those who testified in council and remain vigilant through their powerful testimonies tonight. Truly, your voices are such an inspiration. I personally and professionally will only support a statewide ban. I stand in strong opposition to any rules or laws that reopen the aquarium fish collection trade. I also humbly yet forcefully would demand a kapa'akai analysis. What's happening as it relates to these rules and this legislation feels far too familiar to what happened at Pohakuloa and the military, and the discrepancies in the EIS and the lack of a kapa'akai analysis. I'm also heartened, as I hope you are, that in the room tonight, multiple testifiers, cultural practitioners, scientists, doctors, and experts in this field have offered their expertise to support you. As I understand serving in public office, this is a challenging path to navigate. The collection of tropical fish for the exclusive benefit of hobbyists is an extractive colonial capitalist practice. These creatures are reef fish, not aquarium fish. The term aquarium fish I find ignorant and insulting. The aquarium fish trade is not a cultural practice. There is no true trade. It is blatant taking. Just one more quick statement. I just did a little bit of research, and according to the saltwateraquariumfish.com, We use fish as ambassadors around the world to promote tourism for the state. Shame on them. Newsflash, we don't need you to take our fish to promote tourism. Thankfully, we are now in an era where it's being recognized that we need to manage our tourism and honor the capacity. According to that website, there are 94 divers in all of Hawaii who collect tropical reef fish. 34 of them are in Kona, 51 are on Oahu, and 9 are in Maui. That's a pet advocacy network? Well, right here tonight, we are an ecosystem and cultural advocacy network. Heike ana ia ikapono. I ask you, see the right thing to do and do it. It's hard to sit in a position of leadership and power. I feel for the challenges you face, but I'm also here to tell you that you do not have to compromise and you can just say no.
Just want to remind folks, out of respect for the people still on the list, please try your best to limit your testimony to 2 minutes.
Aloha, my name is Ginger Goye, and I stand here on behalf of Kua'aina Ulu Oromo. We stand on our testimony in strong opposition to these rules. Our written testimony has all the salient points where this rules package should not move forward. Read that. Tonight, I'm speaking as someone who works closely with KUA's networks of communities and grassroots organizations across the Hawaii, people whose lives are deeply tied to their places and practices. Many of them are rooted here across West Hawaii and are here tonight testifying in opposition. The communities that KUA supports have long opposed aquarium fish collection, not just because of the ecological strain, but because it goes against the values of Waiʻanapono. Taking only what is needed to feed our families, not to feed an industry or say an insatiable market away from here. I've had the privilege of listening to these fishers and farmers, caretakers of fish ponds and mean, educators, kupuna, and scientists, people from different backgrounds, different areas of expertise, and different ways of knowing, sharing one same goal to once again experience what our kupuna had by way of abundant and healthy ecological systems that sustain our community resilience and well-being. This is Aina Moana. Despite the numerous threats to our delicate ecosystems and obstacles making the pathway to restoring abundance uncertain and full of challenges, these communities continue to show up to do steady, intentional, and often unpaid labor to rebuild what has been lost. Committed themselves to rigorous processes and co-management, investing their time, their care, and generational knowledge into solutions to restore and sustain these resources. These AQ rules don't support that work. They undermine it. I urge you to listen and consult with these communities who carry the long memory of these places and who are doing the work to ensure they thrive into the future. We respectfully urge you to deny these proposed rules now.
Aloha Dara. Mahalo for the opportunity to provide testimony. My name is Kara Dumagwen, and I'm sharing testimony on behalf of Hawaiʻi, a community-based organization of lineal descendants, scientists, and practitioners grounded in Malamaʻaina and the stewardship of nearshore marine resources in Hawaii with our efforts rooted in Kaupulehu. I am here today to express strong opposition to the proposed rules and permit system for commercial aquarium collection. Our perspective, establishing a permit system for extraction creates a legal pathway to continue removing reef fish from ecosystems that are already under pressure. This approach moves us further away from what is needed to restore and sustain healthy reefs. At Kaupulehu, during our tri-wait period of community-driven rest from fishing, we have seen what healthy reefs can look like when pressure is reduced. Uhu measuring from fingertips to elbow. Schools of fish so dense your eyes don't know where to rest. Reefs that feel alive with movement and color. Our kupuna measured the health of reefs by the presence and abundance of ER, not their removal. Creating a system that enables continued extraction moves us further away from that understanding. We urge DAR to not move forward with the proposed rules and permit system for commercial aquarium collection and instead focus on monitoring, enforcement, and community-based stewardship that supports long-term abundance. From a place-based perspective in Hawaii, this proposal does not align with our kuleana under Kanawai to protect and care for our marine resources for future generations. Mahalo for this opportunity.
Aloha, DAR. My name is Rebecca Most. I'm testifying on my personal behalf today. I strongly oppose the DAR management plan for the aquarium trade. First and foremost, I think it's notable that every single testimony of community members that have come from West Hawaii have opposed this tonight. And the most important thing in all of the testimony that I've heard is that when the kapuna, the community leaders, the cultural practitioners for decades have been saying this trade is not in alignment with traditional and customary practices, it is time to listen to them. Absolutely, full stop. In addition to that, I wanted to share my personal observations along the Kona coast of over 20 years as a scientific diver. Part of that time in my early career working for DAR, studying the West Hawaiʻi Aquarium Project and doing surveys. During that time, there was a mantra that the aquarium trade was sustainably managed. It was the most sustainably managed trade in Hawaii. And I didn't know any better, but then with my own eyes, I would get in the water and I'd see these large areas of coral in a circle pattern about 30 feet wide, just decimated, broken coral everywhere, repeatedly seeing this. And I kept wondering what the heck is going on in these big circles. And then I got in the water one day after an aquarium fisher had just left that site. And I saw it again, and I put two and two together. I realized this is not okay. And then when I learned more about how they were taking juvenile fish from the reef, that is absolutely not a sustainable practice. So I urge you to not move forward with this management plan. I also would like to ask DLNR to conduct an audit of how much staff time and resources have been used to manage and monitor this trade. And I would welcome a day where DAR is spending more of their time protecting the resources, working with communities that want to restore the resource instead of an extractive practice. AQ, thank you for the opportunity.
Julia Sanchez, Lauren Cutler, Erica Waller, Cindy Freitas.
Aloha DAR. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to testify today. My name is Keller Laros, and I'm the chair and co-founder of the Manta Pacific Research Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to research, education, and conservation concerning manta rays in the marine environment. We were founded in 2002. One of the very first things we wanted to do is get manta rays protected in Hawaii. We went to the West-Hawaiʻi Fishery Council, gave a nice, eloquent presentation, and they voted unanimously to do what they could to protect manta rays, but it was only applicable to West Hawaii, and the penalties that they could enforce were $50, $100, $150 fines. So we went with the legislative route. We had legislation introduced in 2005. It was never heard in committee, had it introduced in 2006. Got it in the committee, and I sat at the committee tables and testifying with the chairman of the Department of Land and Natural Resources, who is opposed to protecting manta rays, and I sat with House Representative Brian Schatz, who's now our senator in DC. He was for it. They posted an agreement. They said they would have a House Resolution 30 urging the Division of Aquatic Resources to study manta rays and come up with a management plan. The chair was opposed to it. There was no funding. Nothing happened through 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. We reintroduced it concurrently in the House and the Senate. And Governor Lingle signed Act 092, making it illegal to kill or capture manta rays in the state of Hawaii. The point of the story is oftentimes the divisions and the departments that are supposed to be taking care of the resources don't, and we may have to go with a legislative route. Today I logged my 15,343rd dive in Hawaii. I logged 436 open water dives in Kona last year. If we allow 100,000 yellow tanks to be taken from the water, I'm pretty sure that's all of them. I mean, there's not that many. I really urge you guys to not allow tropical fish collecting to come back into Hawaii. It would just be a devastation to our economy and to our way of life. Thank you very much.
Mele komo, ahe mele aloha, nana kupuna, ika au I hau, aloha maika. My name is Cindy Freitas. I'm a native Hawaiian. Born and raised in Hawaii, a linear descendant of the native inhabitant of this island prior to 1778. I'm also a practitioner of traditional and customary practices passed down through my kupuna from Mauka to Makai. And the Hawaii Supreme Court has repeatedly reinforced that this duty is not optional. Public Access Shoreline, Hawaii versus Hawaii County Planning Commission, the PASH. The court held the state must preserve, protect Native Hawaiian rights when making decisions affecting land and natural resources. In Kapa'akai Oka'aina versus Land Use Commission, the court made clear that the Constitution duty places an affirmative obligation on the state and its agency to actively protect these rights, not merely acknowledge them. In Pele Defense Fund, Patty versus Patty, the court confirmed that Native Hawaiian rights are broad living rights that may extend beyond the specific location where they have traditionally been exercised. Hawaii Constitution Public Trust Doctrine. The state has a constitution duty to protect natural resources, which is our Kanaloa, our deity, the creatures of the sea. All public natural resources are held in trust by the state for the people, Hawaii Constitution, Article 11, Section 7. Water use permit application, Waiole Wakani. Public trust doctrine was a fundamental duty that requires precautionary protections of resource. The court held that when in doubt, the state must err on the side of protecting natural resources and Native Hawaiian right. Kapa'akai Oka'aina versus Land Use Commission requires agency to identify traditional practice, assess impact, and mitigate harm. So your Hawaii.
Can you summarize, please?
Yes, your Hawaii. Your HAR Chapter 13, 60.4, 77.1, and 1375 does not meet this obligation. Therefore, you should erase it off of the many rules that you have that you guys cannot even uphold today. Mahalo for your time.
Okay, thank you. From the Kekaha lands of Kona, Pu'unahulu, Pu'uwawa, Ame, Kopulehu. I oppose this rules package and support a complete ban on aquarium collection. I'm so proud of our community, and I just wanted to say, I had a thing prepared, but I thought, no, I don't need to. Everything that's been said needed to be said. I just know that Western science just got here, and our kupuna were the original scientists that have been observing and collecting data for generations and generations. I'm pretty sure Western science cannot compare to that, and that lives in all of us. And we deserve the space and the opportunity to be the caretakers that our kupuna set us up to be. And that's all we're asking. And we have Western scientists Hawaiians so proud. Look to us to help guide this. So proud to be part of this group, and I just want to say, you know, you on some level are upholding the status quo, and it's harmful to Hawaiians and harmful to Hawaii. And you're in a moment right now. You can uphold that, or you can empower the community to be the leaders that we know we are, and let Hawaii lead the way in sustainability from here forevermore, because we're the ones, and we can help. So, mahalo.
Julia Sanchez, Lauren Cutler, Erica Waller, West-Hawaiʻi Fishery Council, Malaya Spencer, Shane Nelson.
Aloha, my name is Lauren Cutler. I live here in Kailua, Kona, and I am a tour boat captain here in Kona. I'm going to echo many of the voices that we have heard today of my fellow community members in saying that I oppose the opening of aquarium fisheries in Hawaii. The first time I heard about this hearing was actually an email from one of my colleagues over in Maui, and people of Maui have asked for us to speak for them. And it's not just us, the members in the room, that are speaking, but everybody's watching, everybody's listening to what we have to say. And we just hope that you, DAR, also hear what we have to say. Aquarium fisheries targets grazers who are essential for prevention of overgrowth of algae on our coral reefs. Our marine ecosystem has enough stressors from anthropogenic climate change, toxic runoff, stressors from continued development. Why should we add another stressor? A lot of what we know about the ecology of our reefs, you take something out, what we've heard time and time again tonight, it happens at a level where it'll start to affect other fish, predatory fishes. That also affects subsistence. That's very important for the people of Hawaii, for the Kanaka Maoli here. Hawaii is one of the endangered capitals of the world, and aquarium fisheries is a threat to that of our native species and our endemic species. So I just don't understand why we would continue that to allow for something that is not necessary to take away from our community. And then just also to kind of quote a kumu I knew over in Molokai, Anakala Palipo Solitario, and saying that when we take care of that family takes care of us. So in this case, when we take care of the reef fishes, we take care of the corals, we take care of that ecosystem will then take care of us.
Marco, if anyone is thirsty, we have a jug of water.
Aloha, my name is Pasunada. I am representing the West-Hawaiʻi Fishery Council and also its chair. In 1998, Act 306 created what we know as the West-Hawaiʻi Regional Fishery Management Area, the WHRFMA. You might have heard that earlier today. The West-Hawaiʻi Fishery Council was also created as a multi-stakeholder organization for managing input with DAR. One of the reasons for the council's creation was the task resolving the aquarium fishery conflicts. The council has voted to oppose opening the commercial aquarium fishery. The West-Hawaiʻi Fishery Council believes that neither the general public nor the DLNR would agree with the legislative opinion from 1953, particularly given the current state of West Hawaii's nearshore resources. There is a general agreement that Hawaii's reef are under threat from many different factors, including climate change, cesspools, runoff, tourism, and various fishing pressures. Aquarium collecting is not centric to West Hawaii's needs and does not meet the needs of West Hawaii's fishing community and or those who depend on reef fish for subsistence. The practice at its core conflicts with our local community norms and only serves to prolong user conflict. Aquarium fish collecting supplies out-of-state markets. The West-Hawaiʻi Fishery Council strongly urges the DLNR to consider when permitting the extraction of trust resources, whether that is the type of enterprise, which should be given special status
and/or priority over our local community. I want to say a minority of the council felt the fishery should be allowed to reopen on considerations that fish should be limited in the target species, geographical range permitted, and be closely monitored with adaptive management measures in place if needed and more rigorous enforcement. However, once again, the multi-stakeholder council has voted in opposition to commercial tropical fish collection. Thank you.
Looking at Nani Enos, Justin, Canales, Greg Asner, Kalani Kiocho, and Uilani Naipo.
Hey, aloha guys. Thank you for this time and thank you for coming to the community. Appreciate it. My name is Shane Akoni Nelson, the Executive Director and CEO for Poala Kealakekua Nui, and also a lineal descendant of Kealakekua. Mahalo for this time. I would like to just mention a few things because I think everyone has been saying the same thing, but a couple of things I wanted to bring awareness. I am, of course, Ole AQ, you guys know my position. And more important, Ole moving forward with the rules. I think that I strongly support a total statewide ban. And there's so many reasons that many people have brought forward for the past years, since 1996, I think, or 98. But I'm quite curious as to why we're going through this process when thousands of dollars are being invested in reef restoration and core restoration. And then next month, we got the notice, Holomoa Marine Initiative. Is this the standard that the state is putting forward to the community that this is what we're planning for our marine resources, is extractive industry, this is extractive industry. And so I'm quite curious how this is gonna play out as we're trying to restore, replenish, and actually help DAR fulfill their duties in our community. So yeah, just wanted to put that down there and yeah, Aole AQ, mahalo.
Aloha, my name is Justin Nellis, and I'm a resident of Ka'u and Zero Waste Youth Educator at Ka'u High, where I help guide the sustainability leaders of tomorrow and teach the value of building a circular economy. I'm here in strong opposition to DAR's proposed aquarium collection rules and in favor of a permanent ban. The guiding principle of our youth program is Ikaba Mamua, Ikaba Mahope. We look to the past as a guide to the future. And this whole industry and proposed rules fly in the face of those words. And I think first and foremost, I feel the voices of Kanaka Maoli have been crystal clear in their opposition to this awful industry and should be respected and upheld, full stop. Additionally, the science and ecological damage is well documented, but this reeks of big money exploiting Hawaii's natural resources. So I'll make a case for the abysmal economic impacts for our islands, even though this is sickening to see our fish, wildlife, and natural resources reduced to commodification numbers and quotas. So let's be honest, this is what we're talking about is a handful of permit holders standing to generate millions of dollars from this trade. That is not a local economy. That is a private windfall extracted from public reefs that belong to the community at the cost of over hundreds of thousands of native reef fish every year. Let's not be fooled by industry propaganda that this is somehow going to be a windfall for our islands. This is money that's going to be made outside of this economy. And our reefs pay the full price. Our communities see none of that benefit and they suffer the consequences. The science is clear that the fish are going to, most of the fish will die in their first year of captivity. So this is not a sustainable use. We're talking about extraction for the sake of profit that won't even survive. That is wasteful, that's wrong, and antithesis to Hawaiian cultural values. 84% of residents on Oahu and Hawaii Island support a permanent ban. So the fact that we're even talking about this is really understandable. So anyways, I urge DAR to reject these rules and honor the community's petition for a ban and protect our rules for future generations. Thank you.
Hey guys, my name is Greg Asner, and typically I stay in the back of a room, and typically I
stay in the shadows doing what I call tech support. I do tech support for Mililiki. I do tech support for West-Hawaiʻi and Darkona. I run the Aquatic Reef Restoration Program of West-Hawaiʻi. And I work at the state level, DLNR. So that's my usual life in the university. I have to be clear that I'm going to talk about tech support through my other life, my business, which is working with federal, state, county, and international law enforcement, helping with tech support in different capacities. So I want to focus on the enforcement side of this. The reason I want to do that is I knew that people wouldn't know some of what I'm about to say. I think there's a significant technical problem with a DAR rules package at this point. It might be a legal problem that crosses jurisdiction. The rules are, as I see them, are being treated as if the resources being consumed or utilized within the state of Hawaii. Actually, they're being transferred interstate, which makes it a federal jurisdiction, the Lacey Act. When I presented this in my interactions with federal officers and federal agency that I work with, I got feedback, and some of the feedback I got confirmed some issues that have to be addressed in a parallel enforcement package to any AQ rules package, which I haven't seen. One is that there are no NOAA agents on Hawaii Island. We used to, there are none now, and there's only one agent based on Oahu. Second, there's only one U.S. Forest Fish and Wildlife Service agent on Oahu, 0 on the Big Island. That's a huge problem because it means that there's no way for enforcement to work the interstate issue. I saw the gap that you're trying to fill in your package. It's probably not enough, especially because there's no joint enforcement agreement with the federal government. So all of that is a huge loophole in the process and the ability to enforce and ability to carry out this proposed plan. So I'm against it.
My name is Nani Enos, and I'm from Kapalilua, a region that ranges from Mulili all the way through Okinawa and Honolulu to Kealakekua and beyond. I'm here because I strongly oppose the proposed rules and say a'ole to the aquarium fish trade and support a statewide ban of the collection of reef fish for the aquarium pet trade. I was listening last night to the testimonies, and there was a lot of talk about waiting. We waited long enough, we're waiting. There was a lot of talk about promises. Well, I wanted to say, who's promising us that our resources, our fish, our reefs will be living, thriving, abundant for us, for our kiki, for our mo'opuna? You know, my great-great-grandparents, aunties and uncles, they didn't have fish counters and scuba tanks with underwater tablets. But what they did have was kilo and living with respect and balance with all of life. And this they passed down to us through their mo'olelo, their mele and oli, that spoke of the abundant fish and ocean life that fed our ohana communities for generations. I want to bring them into this circle. Ha'i ka'ipoa kaulunae, hua'ai palake, pa'auhau, na'ikipunkui, kalama, and many others, as we are their voices that are here with us tonight, that would say, if they were here in person, with all of their ike and their aloha and their na'awa, their wisdom, they would say, a'ole bebe, a'ole. You say a'ole to the DAR Aquarium trade rules, and you say you support a statewide ban.
Hey, hello, my kako, mahalo dar, and everyone for coming out. My name is Kalani Kiocho. I was born and raised on Hawaii Island. I'm a former commercial kuili fisher and a former longline fishery observer. I have a background in marine science and environmental policy. I worked for NOAA for over 13 years. I'm testifying in 2 capacities. 1 on behalf of my ohana as a Native Hawaiian lineal descendant, and 2 as a director for the Nature Conservancy's Hawaii Island Marine Program. We strongly oppose the proposed regulations and support a statewide ban. My ohana have lineal connections to Kohala and Kona, and I'd like to be recognized as the consulting party for DAR's Kapa'akai analysis. My great-grandfather, Henry Allen Kahali'alaulani Awai, known as Papa Awai, is a practitioner of La'aulapa'awi. He taught me and others about the medicine found within fish, noting the medicinal properties they acquire because of who they are, what they eat, and where they live. He worked very closely with the Wai'a of this island and many islands across our Pai'aina to acquire the right qualities and potencies of La'au. So I urge DAR to reach out to Native Hawaiian knowledge holders who can help DAR to fulfill its constitutional and legal obligations to Native Hawaiians as right holders. The Nature Conservancy is concerned about key aspects of the process related to equity and justice and socioeconomic and cultural impacts. TNC supports science and science-based management, but we have concerns related to insufficient information and data and questions about whether the methods are adequate to properly assess the impacts of aquarium collection in Hawaii and across West Hawaii. Also, due to the biodiversity crisis, TNC is very concerned that endemic fish are on the list, regardless of their abundance or the amount of data available. AQ impacts our public trust, AQ impacts our public trust doctrine and the integrity and health of our kai and our communities. Ua mau ke au ka aina I ka pono. Mahalo and aloha to you
all. Chad Wiggins, Kalani Nakoa, Mahesh Cleveland, Bob Douglas.
No, mahalo nui for this. Overall, Ilani Naipo, Marine Advocate, for place-based governance and traditional customary practices and marine stewardship. Ualabe Yamai, Ukupuna Bahine Kuakahi, o Malaya, Kabalau Puna, Ohina, Kaupiko, Aimana. O Paano Kaikeo na Kupuna, Ikeia la, we here today are the keepers of the traditional ecological knowledge. We keep on asserting and requesting to be consulted with on the practices and how, like this, is going to impact our places. We did it when, Miloli ECBSFA was being formed, and here we are again, because it's no longer just about Miloli in our waters. Even though we call for the ban over there, it is no longer just Miloli. It is all of West Hawaii, and all of Hawaii deserves this. There's a lot of that have been said already. I don't have to repeat it. But a couple points that need to be made. There's a lot of people that claim that, oh, I'm a fisherman, I'm a Wai'a. Lawai'a comes with protocol and discipline. One understanding that you are giving before you take. We said this when, we were trying to introduce DAR into some traditional perspectives coming into Miloli'i village. There's not much different on every single nook and cranny along this West Hawaii coastline. But they're still existing throughout the Pai'aina, places like Miloli'i, places along the coastline where people like us here are caring for our aina. And this cannot go on. Total opposition to any rule, any type of rule that would enable commercial aquarium collection. I gotta say, you haven't even looked at aquaculture, giving it a serious consideration, especially when that was requested. Polomo is coming along, HB 2599, that all of this is saying that you guys are putting our resources at the #1 priority, and this is conflicting with that. Mahalo.
Aloha, my name is Janet Maddox, and I'm living out the center of pretty much nowhere. And I am so grateful to be included with people who do so much more than I did. I'm opposed to any kind of commercial collection for aquariums, and I speak to as a former hobbyist of freshwater aquariums. I worked with a fish called the discus. It originally came from the Amazon, and it is used to very soft, very brackish waters, and it's considered impossible to breed. Well, I'm here to tell you that as a stay-at-home mom or hardworking mom. We set up all kinds of different water purification things, and I was actually selling discus fish. Fish can be bred in captivity for the aquarium trade. There is no reason for any kind of extraction. Wait for this one.
Aloha mai kako. My name is Chad Wiggins, and I reside in Waimea, Lalamilo, Kohala Hema, Moku Keawe. And I'm gonna need 3 minutes. I gave some time to my son last night, and so hopefully I can borrow a little bit from him. But I gotta start by thanking everybody here and everyone who's not present. I gotta thank the ocean, Moana, the community. I gotta thank God. I spent a lot of time as an intellectual atheist until I got humbled by that beautiful ocean out there too many times to deny the existence of God. So I want to talk about Luke 11:9. Ask and it shall be given you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be open. Last night, guys asked for science. These are papers about the fisheries of this island and this state. I have shared many of them. I want to help, but I cannot save us from ourselves because there's been more science shared here tonight than this entire case. If your ears are clogged up from too many dives in pursuit of small fish, you cannot hear Ike Kupuna. You have to listen to Ike Kupuna. Myself, I've been seeking and trying to find for 26 years. I started diving for DAR when gas cost $1.99 per gallon. 2001, I was there when the whales told my dive partner Jackie that her grandpa was in trouble in Guam. I was there when the Ono came. I was there when I ran out of air and Ivor Williams had to buddy breathe with me. I learned from legends of institutional science. Bill Walsh, Brian Tisco, Leon Hallaker, Jen Smith, Lisa Wedding, Paul Joe Keel, Carl McDermott, Chuck Berkland, Alan Friedlander, Jeremy Clace, Jeff Ebel, more and more. And there are some facts that I can share from what they've done. We know that yellow tang evolved in Hawaii. This is the source of the planetary yellow tangs on Earth. We know the yellow tang mature in 4 to 11 years. We know they live at least 41 years. We know that they spread from the south to the north to seed reefs that are above us. This is the source. Yellow tang recruitment is too variable to manage with annual catch limits. And it reminds me of a fun joke about blindfolded archery because you don't know what you're missing. You cannot tell us how many yellow tang are there, and so how can you set a catch limit? This is the goose that laid the golden eggs. The golden eggs are on the shirts of the people in this room. If you wanted to protect a source population, this is where you would start, not upstream with fish that will never get here. A couple other science facts that relate to justice. Geographically dispersed landings associated with the aquarium fishery have been demonstrated to be unenforceable throughout the Pacific in peer-reviewed scientific research. Ike Kupuna is 4,000 years of science, 800 years on this island, 400 years in Kekahavaiole. This is 25 years. This is nothing. So this is a magic trick. We are all participants in the audience for a magic trick. We're gonna look over at this distraction while 7 guys kill 65% of our coral while we have a water crisis. We have a water crisis because water is the source of life for the reef, and we cannot even talk about it because we have to spend our time saying the same things we've been saying for decades. We need your help with the water crisis, because if we do not solve it, there will be no reef, there will be no fishery, there will be no cultural practice dependent upon coral reefs. Please do the right thing. Please be Lawai Pono. Please say A'ole to AQ. Thank you.
After Mahesh, we have Bob Douglas, Andrea Cavalier, Justin, Elijah, Caleb, Lunch.
Thanks, Brian, David, Chris, for being here. My name is Mahesh Cleveland. I'm attorney at HAR Justice. You guys know who we are, what we do, and if you've been paying any attention to what's been coming at you tonight, you also understand why we do it. Truth is, we shouldn't even be here talking about these rules. In December of 2023, as you all know, the board unanimously approved a public petition for rulemaking to prohibit commercial aquarium collection across the state. And ever since that approval, the department has run in the opposite direction based on bad legal advice from the attorney generals. We're going to be in front of a judge tomorrow at 10 o'clock to fix that error. And we are confident that we will prevail on the law because we have actually read the laws. And so basically, DAR should be scrapping this current rules proposal and bringing out a rule to prohibit collection, as is the will of the people. Also, DAR is going to have to conduct a legally valid kapa'akai analysis, which is not the same thing as just taking testimony about traditional and customary practices at a rulemaking hearing. You got to go out and do a valid kapa'akai consultation, as has been requested of you repeatedly last night and tonight. And so without conducting that valid consultation and analysis, and without fixing these other legal issues, oh, you guys tired of hearing me talk? Okay, just to wrap up, basically, we've seen the timelines that you guys are proposing, and since you've basically crafted a rule that's going to be susceptible to all kinds of legal challenges, I think that the people who may be expecting to get permits sometime soon are getting their hopes up a little bit high, because these rules aren't going anywhere fast based on the way that they've come together and the legal and procedural errors that have gone along with it. So thank you very much. Aloha.
Aloha. I don't believe we really should be here doing this, but my name is Bob Douglas, and I respectfully oppose the rule changes, the rule package. As a Malihini, I want to acknowledge that the voices of the Kanaka and the Kama'aina should carry the greatest weight in decisions like this. I offer my testimony with humility. My sons are also lineal descendants of Hawi and Miloli'i, so this issue is deeply personal to our family. I'm a retired computer engineer. That work required careful attention to how data and statistical methods can influence outcomes. Because of this, I'm concerned about the integrity, objectivity of the science being used to justify these rules. First, on the claim that science supports a sustainable aquarium industry in Hawaii, scientific studies must be independent and free from bias. When an environmental impact statement is conducted by an organization with a direct interest in the outcome, it raises the legitimate concerns about objectivity and statistical framing. Second, regarding the decline of the reef fish being attributed to mainly to tourism and effluent. In remote areas where there's little tourism or no significant effluent, yellow tang populations have been also declining. This suggests that additional pressures are impacting reef ecosystems and strengthens the case for protecting reef grazers. Third, reef fish are a critical part of the marine food web. They are a food source for larger fish that Hawaiian communities have traditionally relied upon. Reducing reef fish populations ultimately reduces the biomass available to support subsistence fishing and impacts the access to healthy, culturally important food. Finally, enforcement remains a serious concern. Ongoing poaching during the current ban demonstrates that self-enforcement is not effective. A full ban would make enforcement clearer and more practical, as the transport of live reef fish would immediately signal a violation. If this rules package moves forward, I must urge a consideration of a standardized DAR mandated shipping container with visible inspection windows to improve accountability so that the shippers can actually verify what they're shipping is a legal product. In closing, I ask that the decisions be guided by transparency, independent science, and a commitment to protecting Hawaiian reefs ecosystems, the Kanaka culture for future generations. In close, one more thing. On the emotional heart-tugging argument that restrictions harm fishermen with no alternatives is BS. Like any profession, industries evolved. While change can be difficult, it is not accurate to suggest that there are no alternative pathways for those affected. Framing the issue this way appeals to emotion rather than presenting a balanced, evidence-based assessment of economic transition. Certainly, everyone truly understands that these rules must be stopped. Respect the Kanakas, respect their culture, do what is right, and respectfully decline pursuing these rules. Mahalo.
Aloha. Justin from Hamakua. I strongly oppose these fishery management proposals. I support a total ban on all this aquarium collection. I can co everything everyone said. I don't really need to say it all, but I'm gonna say that, you know, there's no natural resources, no more natural resources. Get relatives, yeah. And I'm sitting here staring at the sign that says, you know, Division of Aquatic Resources, and that's so gross, you know? The idea that we're sitting here discussing life, right? Should be Division of Aquatic Life, at least. I mean, this is on par for the government, United States. They put indigenous peoples in zoos from like the 1800s. They took people from all over, Philippines, Africa, put them in zoos, and now we want to put our relatives in zoos again, yeah. And these aquariums, that's what we're talking about. So there is no natural resources, only our relatives. But I want to say, you know, you're the coolest guy in this room right now, bro. Because you're the one sitting here that can take all these testimonies, all the science that was offered, and do your job. And by do your job, I mean your job as a community member, because you're the community too. Bro, we're here for you. You know, I can speak for myself and say I love you. So I appreciate you taking this testimony and doing your job as one community member. And then you can also do your job in this governmental position. I know it's hard. I feel for you, but you chose to be here. So now I'm talking at you, bro. So please do your job and support something that Mona can look back at and go, oh, that's the guy. That's the guy that will protect. Wow.
Just have a few more names on the list. Caleb Lundstrom, Wendy Laros, Marie Aguilar. And then if anyone has not had a chance to testify either tonight or last night and wants to, you can come up and testify if I haven't called your name. Anyone? Great. Okay, I'm gonna close testimony. Oh, are you, okay. All right. All right, but we have a few more minutes.
Am I using that mic?
Yeah.
I'm looking at you. Aloha, I'm Wendy Laros. I'm the president and CEO of the Kona Kohala Chamber of Commerce. Since 1968, the Kona Kohala Chamber has advanced the quality of life for our community by supporting a strong, sustainable economy on Hawaii Island. Representing more than 460 member businesses and organizations, we serve as the leading voice for the West Hawaii business community and advocate for policies that support long-term community stability and regional economic resilience. We strongly support initiatives that promote coral reef health and ocean conservation, recognizing the vital importance of sustainable ocean ecosystems. Healthy reefs and thriving fish populations are foundational to Hawaii Island's environment, culture, and visitor economy. Protecting marine ecosystems helps preserve the natural resources that support local livelihoods, community well-being, and long-term economic sustainability. For these reasons, we strongly oppose the proposed administrative rules for aquarium fishery management. We believe a statewide ban on commercial aquarium collection is the best path forward. We have also asked for the statewide ban at the state legislature with House Bill 2101 that has been moving through this legislature through this session, and it's going to be heard tomorrow morning again. West Hawaii has a long history of caring for marine resources. We strongly support a straightforward approach that protects reef ecosystems while providing clarity for the future. Mahalo for this opportunity to testify.
Mahalo.
Aloha, Chris, David, Brian. My name is Garth Yamanaka, and I am against aquarium fishing. I'm here tonight in support of people of place who are trying to take care for and manage the places they know. My background includes studying coastal resource management, and I stay involved through my work and community efforts. Through that, I've spent time thinking about how we relate to these resources and what we are actually trying to sustain. I do want to acknowledge that there are people whose livelihoods are tied to this. It is not easy to make a living, and I understand that many believe what they are doing is sustainable. But we also need to be honest about the pressures on these systems. The access has changed, technology has changed. The ability to reach and extract from these areas is not what it was generations ago, and that creates more pressure on these reefs. I also think there's a dynamic we need to recognize. People providing for their families today are naturally focused on today. But the mission of DAR speaks to present and future generations, and future demand and pressure will not look like what we see today. I've seen sustainability defined as allowing for replenishment while ensuring long-term survival and abundance. And the key word there is abundance, because maintaining something is not the same as maintaining abundance. A healthy reef depends on that. These are public resources, and not all uses carry the same weight. There's a difference between fishing to feed your family and extracting for non-essential uses like the ornamental trade. At the end of the day, I stand with people of place who are asking for a different approach, one grounded in long-term stewardship. Mahalo.
Font getting bigger every time we gotta testify over here. Now we need glasses.
Aloha, I'm Dr. Roxanne Kipikipikane Okorohaka, a Hawaiian and Western trained marine biologist. I speak as the Executive Director in Kia'i for Kia'i Kanaloa, a native Hawaiian organization of Hawaiian cultural practitioners, Hawaiian scientists charged with fulfilling our traditional and customary responsibility to safeguard our po'e Kanaloa. We safeguard our elder relations who are the coral, the fish, and the whale. They are all interconnected and integral to the vitality of the marine system. They are Kanaloa Nui Akea. So tonight I speak on behalf of Kia'i Kanaloa. We strongly oppose this proposed rule package. We support a complete statewide ban on aquarium fish collection, and we formally request to be consulted in a kapa'akai analysis. The entire oversight enforcement plan is flawed from conceptualization to implementation, as it overpromises non-existent DAR resources to adequately and accurately monitor, regulate, and enforce the proposed rules. In working in partnership with DAR and protected species work, we have firsthand knowledge of how limited DAR resources are. Add that to the enormity of Hawaii shorelines and nearshore waters, it is extremely unrealistic to think that DAR has the financial resources and the workforce needed to enforce all these proposed rules and to scale up your reef and fish monitoring to adequately quantify and monitor reef health and fish populations. DAR's priorities should be to conduct more thorough longitudinal species surveys to build a more comprehensive data set that better informs decision-making. Even your DAR 2024 legislative report poses the query of how conservative management plans should be to create a buffer for future climate scenarios. So I have a lot of questions about your data collection that is not clear in the material that is in the public domain. So some examples are, it does not provide enough explanation on the methodology to speak confidently to the findings being applied beyond specific and limited sampling sites. The use of spawning potential ratios to determine sustainable fishing levels is inadequate in the use of single point projection on such an important and dynamic resource. There's lack of clarity in identifying comprehensive longitudinal data sets that inform the selection of the whitelist species or in determining the allowable catch limits. There's no clear explanation of how thresholds will be calculated and adjusted over time. We cannot support such a flawed and incomplete plan. In closing, we remind you of your public trust obligations codified in Hawaii state law. As you state on page 30 of your 2024 legislative report, your first priority is the akua, the element, the kanaloa, the interconnected reef system. Prioritize that. Commercial use is third, but only if it does not conflict with or interfere with public use and resource protection. Ola kanaloa, ola ikia wa kanaloa. Mahalo.
Okay. This concludes our oral testimony portion of this public hearing. One moment. Okay. Thank you to everyone who provided testimony. In addition to oral testimony, we will also be accepting written testimony until Sunday, April 12th, 2026. Please email testimonies to dar.testimony@hawaii.gov. Testimonies may also be mailed to the Department of Land and Natural Resources, Division of Aquatic Resources, 1151 Punchbowl Street, room 330, Honolulu, Hawaii 96813. Those addresses are on the slide. For your information, I'm going to cover the next steps in the rulemaking process following this round of public hearings. So this is the projected timeline for these rules after this public hearing. The dates are estimates, assuming that no significant changes to the proposal need to be made, based on the testimony received. Based on the testimonies presented, the department will submit its findings and recommendations to the Board of Land and Natural Resources. If approved by the board, the Department of the Attorney General will conduct a final legal review. Then the proposed rules will be given to the governor for his final approval. Should the governor grant approval, the approved rules will be filed with the Lieutenant Governor's office, and after 10 days, the rules will become effective as law. On behalf of the Department of Land and Natural Resources, Division of Aquatic Resources, mahalo for attending this public hearing. It is now 9:03 p.m. and this public hearing is now adjourned. Mahalo for taking time out of your day to participate. Aloha.
Good job, guys.